Welcome to the Dynasty podcast. We are back at it again, not without technical difficulties and life somewhat getting in the way, as per the usual for us, but we're committed and we're back. Pretty excited about the show this week. We're going to continue to talk about our top 15 wide receiver dynasty rankings, and then we're going to review the Big 12 conference. I think what I'm most excited about, Ben, is all the work you put into the spreadsheets to make this a little bit more cleaner and simple moving forward. You've done a great job of kind of setting this up so we're both kind of speaking the same language. I think it should be a little bit easier for the listeners. We're both not hammered this week, maybe a little bit low energy, but
Yeah.
it should be nice and clean in under an hour and a half. Knowing us, it'll probably go longer than that, but only a couple things to talk about, and then I got to throw a few curveballs that I can throw at you from questions that we got in the chat. So,
That
how you
works. By
doing?
the way, did you not curse in the intro?
I
Have we
didn't.
finally have we
Yeah,
finally made our grand audience of everyone who
I'm
doesn't
just trying to be
censor?
better. I'm trying to be a better person.
I think it's
So,
great. I'm
yeah.
very proud of you.
I'm not a huge cursor. I think it's in certain
Probably more
groups,
when
and
we talk than anything.
I think I definitely curse around my kids too much, and if I've had a few too many drinks, I start to fly off the handle a little bit. But normally, it's not like I'm cussing all day long. Some certain swear words have become pretty acceptable, at the end of the day. But yeah, we'll try to keep it a little cleaner in the opening at least.
Well, you did
So
great. I appreciate it
thanks,
all.
I appreciate it. Um, So, are we ready to jump in? I know that you've put a little bit of work into your top 15. Do we want to keep it the same way as you release your first five, and then I'll give my five, and then we'll keep moving
Yeah,
down?
since you went first last time, and then we ended up arguing too much. I don't even know if we got it through last podcast. Thank God, that people watched that all the way through, a good 3 hours.
Yeah, some people, I'm sure. Some people probably zoned it out. 3 hours is a long, long time to listen to us ramble.
You know what? We're gonna get better. I think
We're long form though.
that
We're
was
a
a
long
tricky
form
one. We
podcast.
started late. We started late. We went late. We had a little bit much. The agenda was full. We're good now. So yeah, I will start. So we're doing top five dynasty positions. We did running backs last week, and this week. By the way, to the league, just so you know that this big spreadsheet that has like a lot of our information, which will have our top 15s at each position. It'll have our division grades. It'll have the draft grades. Corey will do what he
Great.
wants to at some point he can, but we will release that at some point so you guys can all check that out. So
Yeah, I
that'll be
plan to
real nice.
work on my piece. The pieces that I'm missing and under the same format that you've put together. So it's a little bit more clear and easy for people to read and kind of evaluate how we did at the end of the year. I got a long plane flight on Friday, and I'll probably try to work on it then. No promises, but I'll piece by piece get it done. At least we're on the same page moving forward. So
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, uh, we want to thank all of our viewers for watching, smashing that like button, subscribing, hit that up. And so I think without further ado, as Corey would say, let's get to our top 15 dynasty wide receivers. And for me, I had to go homer pick. I will defend it to my death, but I am at Justin Jefferson at number one. I think he's proven that he is quarterback proof. I think he's proven that he will put up numbers no matter who throws to him. I think it doesn't look like there's going to be inconsistencies in his play caller unless Kevin O'Connell got fired in the next few years. He would have to get really disgruntled and like it get really ugly for his situation to be different. And Kevin O'Connell's just going to continue to do the Cooper Cup treatment from the Rams that works, right? Feed your beast. So I have him number one. Number two, I have Jamar Chase. I think they're very 1A, 1B. I think I'm okay wherever you want to rank those two. I think Chase is, as long as it's with Burrow, is just God tier, especially as long as their defense is just terrible, right? If they keep having these really bad defenses and have to put up lots of points, have to get behind by 14 points and have to sling it, like Jamar Chase is going to keep having 200 plus games, three TD games, just like the really juicy things that make you win weeks. It's like I think you said at one point on our review that Justin Jefferson was worth two players. I think Jamar Chase is in that category.
For sure.
Uh, like not all the top guys are, but I think there's like at the end of the day, those two receivers and maybe a couple more we'll talk to, but those specifically are going to have games where they can carry your whole roster, right? So those help. Number three, I have CeeDee Lamb. Um, I just think he's continues to deliver. I mean, he can still do it with bad quarterbacks, and Dak, if he's healthy, is gonna probably give him very similar numbers to the other two guys. I think CeeDee's gonna be in for a really big year as long as Dak doesn't get hurt. I think their O line's better. I think they're gonna be able to protect him more. And I think they're just going to feed CD. I mean, yep, Pickens is there, but like it's fine. Like that's just going to take pressure off, and I think CD's like up there in that echelon. I, I'm going to just go through, but I have Ahmad St. Brown number four, and I don't see people having him that high, but like I just watch him and he is him. Like he is the dog. Like I get they have Jameson, I get they have weapons, I get Ben Johnson's gone. But I think I'm on St. Brown is like he's always disrespected when it comes to like how they choose all pros, how they like all these rankings and awards. He still got snubbed last year with stupid numbers. Like he people respect him and he's great, but I think in general, like he just doesn't get the respect those other guys do. And as long as he's got a chip on his shoulder, he's just going to continue to be really good, I think. Now, if their offense takes a real big step back, I think that'll affect the other guys more. I think like they're just going to continue to like run plays, get him the ball no matter what at all costs. So I mean, I think I'm on Red St. Brown, maybe without Ben Johnson's creativity, might actually get a bigger workload. So I have him at four. Number five, I have Brian Thomas Jr. That's probably a little contrarian to most rankings as well, but I just think I think he's so good. He was good, amazing with a lot of bad offensive line play, like some washy quarterback play. I mean, maybe I'm crowning him a little too early, but he's my number five. So those are my five so far. What do
I
you like?
like it. So we have three of the top five. Um, I had Chase at number one and Jefferson at number two. If you look at their stats, they're really, really similar, to be honest with you, over the last 3 years.
Yeah,
So Jamar Chase has one more game played. He has 15 more receptions. Jefferson has 500 more yards, but Chase has 10 more TDs. So I think the advantage that I give Chase in that is the quarterback play and the connection he has with Burrow, and I know that's going to be consistent for a very long time. I'm not as sold on your boy in Minnesota being able to, you know, put up the same numbers consistently. Can he have the season that Darnold had last year? It's possible. I don't know if their offense is going to look the same. Chase also has, I think, better weapons around him that takes some of the pressure off. Spoiler, spoiler alert. Higgins is in my top 15 at some point as well. I don't think I don't think that Jefferson has the same people to take the load off of him, which could be a good thing. Like you said, you're going to feed the beast as much as possible. He's an absolute stud. You're really kind of nitpicking on which one you want, number one or number two. They're both amazing players, probably leaps and bounds above everybody else at this point. I have This is, I'm trying to be a little bit different. I looked at age. So I have Malik Neighbors coming in at number three. I think he has the Jamar Chase every uh, talent, skill set. He can be an absolute dog. And he's only, let me see here, I think he's 22 years old. Whereas my fourth on the list is CD Lamb, who's 26. So I just put Malik Neighbors a little bit ahead of CD Lamb in that regards over the next 3 years. I can't think of anybody I would trade Malik Neighbors for out of those top four in a trade. I gave a little bit of advantage to Neighbors youth wise. CeeDee Lamb, if he has Dak for the next 3 years, he's going to put up numbers. They have better weapons than they had in the past as well. So I think that one's also kind of splitting hairs. Fourth is kind of where we may be. Well, I'm sure you have him up there, but I had Puka Nacua. Over the first 2 years of his career, nobody's put up the numbers that he has. He still has Stafford. He still has McVay. No more Cooper Kupp. They have Adams, who's going to fill that role and be an absolute stud. But Puka is just he's so dominant, so different. And I know it's not in relative to contract, but if you think about our leagues and where people got Puka Nacua and how much his contract's worth against some of these other stars at this point, I mean, he's just an absolute diamond in the rough. And so I have him at number four. And then at number five, I have your boy Brian Thompson Jr. Again, super young. Thomas Jr., 22. They have more weapons. I think he's so explosive. Just missed on him. I didn't have him anywhere. I think you still want to believe in long-haired Jesus or whatever they call him. I think he's probably going to send. I think the new coaching staff, even though he seems like a complete dork,
Touchdown
is
Jesus. It's
yeah,
touchdown
touchdown
Jesus.
Jesus. Sorry, yeah, yeah. I think I'll bet on him over the next 5 to 7 years to be right up there with the big boys.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm pretty surprised we both had him in the top five. I don't know how many rankings do, but I just like for whatever reason I saw maybe you did too because they play in London a lot. See a lot of Jags games, and it's just he makes plays, man. He's open. He has separation. He's a baller, man. He's
The
really
only thing
good.
that you probably worry about him is just he's had 1 year under his belt, and things can change pretty quickly. I think Jacksonville adding Hunter could diminish some of his workload, depending on how explosive he is and how NFL ready he is at wide receiver. But I've seen Travis Hunter in the top 17, 18 wide receivers and rankings. I think Fantasy Pros has him 16 overall. So more people to take targets and be relied on. That could either help Brian Thomas Jr., but or it kind of hurt him. I think it overall helps their offense. I
It's
expect them to
super
score more points,
interesting
more
point,
competitive.
Corey, about Travis Hunter. Is like I didn't really consider him in this conversation of wide receivers. I don't know if I would still put him in the top 15, but man, his upside with playing both ways is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking of it that way either, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for
What the
whatever
other
reason, I kind of got him in this weird tweener world, but I probably, we're talking dynasty. He's definitely on honorable mentions at this point if I had to make them.
I think the other point too is I somewhat wanted to think a little bit about the teams and where they're at as an offense and an overall team as well. Like that Cincinnati's defense sucks, right? So like, man, they're going to have to score points, or at least they did last year,
Yeah.
to be in games. They're going to have to throw the ball a ton. They were in so many high scoring affairs with other teams. And uh, you look at some of these other teams like Malik Neighbors, I mean, they're going to have to pepper the crap out of him. Dallas, I think, can be a little bit more well rounded. Minnesota, I think, can be a little bit more well rounded. St. Brown, who's not in my top five, to the points that you made, I think their offense is going to slide a little bit. So I did take that into consideration, and I think Brian Thomas has kind of that same ability to be on an explosive offense and maybe have to be scoring some points in games to have them win and be in competitive contests throughout the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, we can go on to my next five because my next two were in your top five. And I put Puka Nakua over Neighbors because I think Puka Nakua has a better at least year or two of competent QB play.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to value that over. I don't necessarily think that he's more talented than Neighbors, but that offense, McVay, the number one, we've seen it with Cup. Like just give me him. You know what I mean?
The only issue with Nakua is this whole I'm going to retire by the time I'm 28, which is in whatever he said, 4 years.
Yeah. And he might, we'll see if he can hold up. Like he doesn't have like the type of body Neighbors does, who I feel like might be more durable. But
Yeah.
for me, like Neighbors, it's like I have him seventh, and I think most people would think that's insane and egregious and terrible. But like, dude, who's throwing to him, man? Like he's gonna continue to be in this quarterback carousel. And he was cute, he was wide receiver seven last year. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and go, oh, his QB situation is much better than last year. It's not. And so, and then I don't think they have their future QB on the roster. So, I mean, maybe Jackson Dart will be a guy, but what if he's below average and they're trying to figure it out this whole time with Neighbor's career? What if he starts getting a little bit of that wide receiver syndrome when shit's just continuing to go bad?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Like for me, I think it's fair to have an expectation for him of being like one of the top dogs, but like let's see him go another year with absolute shit quarterback play. Like I mean I'd say shit, but like Russell Wilson did put Cortland Sutton 15th, I think, last year in fantasy football scoring for BC at least. So like it's not like
I think
it's
his
not
explosive plays will be even better, right? Like Russ can throw it down the field.
I
I think
I
their
think
offense will be more
Russ
competent.
I think Russ will be very good first points per game. I think Jackson Dart would be a kind of a mess. So because there's that uncertainty, like I don't know. I like the guys above. I just like their
Oh
situations.
no,
I
it's
like
completely fair.
I like their
I
body of
can't.
work more. But I think most people have Neighbors like even top three I saw. So I was like, I thought that was kind of aggro, but I think it's fair. Like, but that's where I got him. And I have Garrett Wilson number eight, followed by Lad McConkey,
Mm,
followed by Jackson Smith and Jigba.
mm.
And so I'll start with Garrett Wilson. Like he got paid, like he got a big extension. I think he's proven that he will like ball out with crap. You know what I mean? Like it's not like Justin Jefferson, like we can play with anyone and play with some backups. Like Garrett Wilson's put up pretty damn good numbers with really bad, bad QB play. I mean, he was 10th overall last year, and it was really bad. And I think Fields will probably be better than what he was dealing with last year, even though they might run a lot more. But I think the type of throws that Fields likes to make, that I think Garrett Wilson's going to be fine. Like I think he's an elite route runner. And like when you have a guy that good at running routes, it can't, he's going to figure out what quarterbacks need from him. I think that was kind of the weird thing with Aaron Rodgers was like Aaron Rodgers kept trying to find these guys, bring me Alan Lazard and my boy Devontae. Like he's just kind of like dissed him. And then like later in the year, like Wilson really picked up, once he kind of got out of his like, I don't know what's going on. And once he just started playing ball, he was like elite again and then finished 10th, so I think that's pretty wild. And Lad McConkey's pretty high, but you and I are pretty high on this guy. I mean, like, I think he's another Puka Nakua. I think he's another absolute volume PPR monster, right? Like, I just think when you talk about peppering Like everyone gets excited about all these other wide receivers that are like coming in and playing. And it's like, for me, I'm like, dude, when Lad was healthy, he was getting like 13 fucking targets a game. Like, why are we overthinking this, you know? And it's not like he proved he's a good crisp route runner, gets open, he gets really open, and he's got good hands. And like, I think Herbert is just going to go to him nonstop on third downs. I think it's just going to be like them throwing the ball, you know. And these other guys, they'll get their points, and that, like, you know, they'll be deep, you know, deep outs and all kinds of stuff for the supporting cast. But I think everyone tries to talk too much into like what else is there, and I think these guys are all just need to be supporting cast guys who catch. You know, if Quentin Johnson catches 800 yards and a bunch of clutch touchdowns and some deep balls, like he's fine, right? If like these other guys just play their role, but I think Lad's gonna go. He's gonna play everywhere, and I like that. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is because I know this. You know, this coaching staff is willing to just um, go down the ship with him, right? I mean, they exiled Metcalf and Lockett, literally not caring because they're like, once they gave him that huge workload in the end, I mean, I think he was, I mean, he finished wide receiver six, but I think it was top three in the second half of the season. Like it was
Yeah.
his volume was wild, and they same thing, move him everywhere. It was like what that like really explosive like type you saw in college, right? So I'm probably much higher than most people, but I also like I'm giving Sam Darnold more credit than most people are,
Yep.
especially because we know Sam Darnold has a guy like he's gonna if he's open he gets open, like he's not gonna hesitate to throw him the ball. He showed that with Justin Jefferson. When Justin Jefferson was out of game, he did it to Addison. He will throw a pretty deep ball if he can get open. He'll get him on slants. He'll be able to like really get him in space. I think that's you know, six last year. It's hard to like keep him out of the top 10 for me.
Nice. I like it. So I actually gave six my first go round, just to repeat: Chase, Jefferson, Neighbors, Lamb, and then Puka. But I also had Thomas Jr. mentioned, so he was my six. I'll just give four this round. St. Brown was my six. I'm sorry, my seventh. For a lot of the reasons that you said, I think he's a dog. Like he has that chip on his shoulder. He's been super consistent, super healthy. I don't see him, declining physically anytime soon. He's still fairly young, 25. I worry a little bit about that offense and just what's going to happen with Ben Johnson being gone, and how productive they're going to be. But they're going to score points. They're still going to be a lead offense, I think. So I have him number six, and then I have Nico Collins as my seventh. I just absolutely think he's everything I want in a wide receiver. He's 26, so that's a little bit more concerning, but he's such a physical specimen. I think the other wide receivers coming in there, I like the common connection that he has with Stroud. I think he's going to bounce back a little bit this year, if he has time to throw the football. So I think, all those things considered, boy, I'd love to have Nico Collins on my roster. And then I have Garrett Wilson, number eight. I love Garrett Wilson. Fun fact: over the last 3 years, he has the third most targets in the NFL, with Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb being number one and two. And it's 469 targets. We're talking Jamar Chase has 454, Jefferson 438. He's been extremely healthy and reliable too. He's missed very few games. He's wiry. I just love everything about him as a wide receiver. I think the quarterback play, well, shit, he's done it for his whole career without anybody really, throwing the ball. I don't think the connection with Fields is going to be any worse, and I think that they'll have that connection all the way back to their college days. So I'm high on him this year. I'd love to have him on a few rosters. I don't own him anywhere. And then that was eight. I think, yeah. I want to end it. And then Marvin Harrison, I have right after him. I'm high on my boy Marvin Harrison. I think his rookie year he had such huge expectations, and everybody said it was, pretty shitty compared to where they drafted him. But that was mostly redraft talk. I think. Uh, I think if he would have had that rookie season 4 years ago, before this whole explosion of rookie wide receivers coming into the league, he would have been just fine. And I think he's going to have an elite season this year. He's bigger. I think his route running is going to be better. I think they'll find ways to get him the ball more often, and he'll be a featured point in their offense. So I'm still high on him. I wouldn't be selling any shares on him. And then the last one I had was Lad. Lad, I wanted to have higher. I to some of your points, I do think, drafting Trey Harris has to take away some of the targets, and that's probably a good thing for his longevity. I don't know if he is a 13, 15 target a game person. I think he is a perfect person to find on third down. You say 7 to 10 receptions a game. I think he can win at three different levels. So I don't think it necessarily hurts them. I think their offense will be better, but they do have more weapons this year, and Harbaugh does like to run the football. And I think they get back to that with, Hampton being the running back, and probably less targets and less production this year than he did last year, which is still going to be pretty damn good. So that's why I have him down a little bit further than maybe you do.
That's fine, but like I last year they were like I think if they weren't number one, they were top three in run rate.
He's actually
Maybe
I did it again. He's actually
Baltimore.
11th on my list. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I have
Oh,
him
that's
at
okay.
11. So
Who's
I gave 11 already. Sorry, buddy.
who's your 10?
I had Chase, Jefferson, Neighbors, Lamb, Nakua, Thomas Jr., St. Brown, Nico, Collins, and then Wilson and Marvin Harrison, ninth and 10th. So I was one off again. I took it in my damn notes thing on my phone, and Chase is capitalized and much bigger than everyone else, so I keep reading from Jefferson from the top. So that's why I've screwed up twice. Never again. Back to the old Excel sheet that I'm very good at.
You're totally fine, buddy. We are not aiming for like the perfect 5 for 5. But like just one more comment because so like on first Lad McConkey, like I think they're gonna have the same run rate as last year. And one thing I know specifically because my boy JJ McCarthy is a product of Harbaugh. What he wants to do is constantly be in running to get first downs. But like when it doesn't work, like the third and 6, the third and 5, those downs are going to be passes. And like, unless one of these tight ends really, really raise up, it's going to be Lad McConkey every time. So if you think
Yeah.
about it as a game plan, it's like, let's run these backs twice and then throw to Lad. You know, it's like every time we need to move the sticks, it's going to be Herbert to Lad. Just plain and
Yeah,
simple.
he's a perfect PPR guy. I just think his total yards might come down a little bit.
I
If they're
think that's
taking
fair.
deep,
I think
maybe
that's
his
fair. But
touchdown.
I also like, when we look at like in his scheme of security with his youth, he's got Herbert unless something changes, that's a pretty good situation for him,
Oh, for
A
sure.
lot of these guys we
I love.
talk about have a little unstable environments, where it's just like it's going to be Herbert to McConkey for a while.
Well,
But
that connection, he trusts that connection, and that's going to be over everybody else on the
we're
team.
close.
I
You
don't
have him at
care.
11. I have him at 9. I think I don't
Yeah.
know how high everyone is on them. I
So
haven't
you
really.
don't you only out of the top 10, basically, you don't have Nico Collins or Marvin Harrison Jr., and that's where we disagree. So you moved up a couple guys that I don't have in there.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't have JSM. I don't have JSM as
I know you
high.
don't have JSN in the top 10. My
He
11, so I'll continue with my guys. My 11, now after I saw Marvin Harrison Jr. catch that one-handed catch in the back of the end zone today, I probably want to move him higher. he's been doing very well in camp. So I still want to see it, but like number 11 for me is Drake London. And here's why. Like once Michael Penix took over, Drake London was like I think top 5. He was really high. Like their connection was like Cousins and Mooney had a really good connection. And then when Penix took over, like I think Drake London really started looking like holy shit, Drake London. And it was so good that he got to wide receiver 9 on the year. Like that's crazy, man. Like
Yeah,
when you think
no,
about it,
he's
because like I think the inflated stats that Cousins was doing was a lot of Ray McLeod and a lot of Mooney. And I think like
well,
London was just
Mooney's hurt too, I think, or he came up a little bit,
yeah.
lame in camp, and so you think about their depth and like who else they have. It's like, I mean,
But if
it's
you
the
think
Drake
about
London
that, that's
check.
like if that continues on that clip that they were doing, and that's the, you know, Penix is going to be the guy as long as he doesn't get hurt, and it's going to be London all day. So if that for next 3 years feels pretty safe, again, anything could happen with the
He's only
quarterback
24 too.
position.
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't.
he's
It
still
feels like he's
super young and he's experienced. Like I wanted to put him lower and I just couldn't do it. Like even like I have Nico Collins 12th, and I'm like, man, isn't Collins ahead of him? And you know what I just kept thinking was like, I think Stroud is going to have a hard time with that offensive line this year. I think I saw they were ranked dead last by the PFF. They were like they're playing like an emergency guy we had at left tackle. I think they're also playing a backup swing guard that we had. Like they have I this is the crazy thing, Corey, about Houston. They have 8 players vying for 4 spots. Meaning like they don't even know who's starting on that line yet.
right.
That kind of
Well,
that's
they were
that
awful
kind of
last
scares the
year.
shit out of me. And I wanted to put Nico lower because of the 2 additions of the wide receivers, but to your point, like I actually have him higher than I wanted to put him because he's insanely good, like his route tree is pure, like I mean he's I everyone's like, oh well, Higgins plays the same position. It's like, no, it's not really true. Like, Higgins is probably an X, but like Nico can play all 3 positions. Like he can go all over the
Yeah,
line. And imagine if they start like kind of doing that, putting him a little more slot, moving around. Like he could have a top 5 year. Like I wouldn't be shocked. Especially, who knows? Like I said, like we don't know what Houston's gonna be. I think their defense is gonna be good, and then like I think their offensive line is gonna be a problem. Does that mean there's more passing yards or less? I don't know, but it still makes me a little nervous. But got to feel good about that connection long term. And then I have AJ Brown 13th. I just even at 13, it just feels bad, and just because like they run the ball so much last year, we're trying to, kind of like discounting like what he is and what he can do. And this is probably my least certain take because like, he wasn't top 15 last year. He missed a couple games and stuff, but like I think AJ Brown when if Barkley gets hurt, or if they run less, or they have to like lean a little more on the arm of Hurts, we know where that's going. That's going to go to AJ Brown all day. And he's older, and
yeah, he's 28.
but yeah, exactly. He's like older at 28. It's fucking crazy. 7, 8 years in the league, and he's 28. So I probably, looking at it now, would probably swap him with my 14th, which is Marvin Harrison Jr. Like I kind of feel like I would obviously rather have Marvin Harrison Jr. than AJ Brown, but I think it's still pretty close. You know, if they were the same price and like we were doing a trade straight up, I know you'd have to think about it, I think. And then
Yeah, I mean, I
fifth,
think wh- when you're
go ahead.
thinking about the next 3 years, like it's a different story, right? Like some of these guys I would swap out if I was trying to win this year alone. Obviously, I'd have them higher, but we're talking over the next 3 years, what their ceiling is, and is
Yeah,
there
we do that a little
regression
on
or
running backs. What if AJ Brown has top five year in the next 2 years because
oh,
he can,
he could. I don't think has he ever done it before though. I don't
two
know.
years ago, I think he was.
Yeah.
But my 15th was like really, I think you said it drops off at 15. I thought it dropped off at 14 for me personally, but I put Xavier Worthy in at 15. And
Hmm.
that's like super premature and it's super assuming that he can be like kind of like what he looked like he could be. But it looks like he looks awesome. It looks like he looks better. And
So
I
you
don't
would have
know,
him over even Rashi Rice, huh?
Xavier Worthy over Rasheed Rice, yeah.
Yeah. Even if
Rasheed
you're not
Rice is
considering
just
this.
like he's like a fuck up away from being out of the league at this point. He's just like I'm not a believer. I think they are going to want Xavier Worthy to be the guy.
Well, at least Rice is on the Chiefs, though. I mean, they seem to be okay with risky situations.
Well, hey man, Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt. I mean, the track record's there. But like for me, like I don't know. You mentioned T. Higgins. You mentioned like some people I've seen. Like I mean, Rasheed Rice is I've seen up there, but I just don't like anyone out. Like I think 15 for me is just like I don't really care. So if I wanted a guy, it just depends on my situation. But if I want a guy who could be like top five, I think Worthy has a better chance than anyone else. Unless you want to say like maybe Ted or some of these new guys, but like I'm not going there. I'm not going there until I
Yeah,
see it. Like I've seen
yeah.
Xavier Worthy do nasty shit with nasty speed, and like he's not just a speedster, and Mahomes likes him. And if they get on the same
See, I'd
page, it could
rather
be
have
really good.
I'd rather have Jalen Waddle over Xavier Worthy. I mean, just with the Tyreek situation and maybe him being on the outs, like I think Waddle is just completely. He hasn't necessarily been healthy, but if he had good quarterback play and was on a different team over the next 4 years, like man, I think he's a weapon. It's just kind of
Yeah,
underestimated
I
just
mean,
because it
like
hasn't
I even
necessarily
like
worked out.
I was trying to think of there's I don't see a world where like Chris Olave gets a fucking uh quarterback anytime soon, so I couldn't put him there, but he's like, he's a beast.
I'd say Jamison Williams
Zay
has a shot
Flowers and
to.
some of these guys has a lot of like upside. I think guys like Jameson Williams and Jordan Addison and Tegan, as long as they're second, like I want if you're in my top 15, I want you to be able to hit that top five ceiling, you know?
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody in the top 14 that's not necessarily their number one all day long, right? I mean, I think that's pretty consistent with everybody we named in the top 14. Let me finish
Yeah.
my next four and then we'll talk a
Yes,
little bit
sir.
more about it. So the last four I had was London. I think he's spectacular. I mean, I think he's the kind of the spitting image of what Mike Evans could, has been with good quarterback play and just super consistent and extremely underrated. I think this Penix thing could be put him in the next tier of wide receivers, and he's been pretty damn good to start his career anyway. But I think he'll show more than what he is as kind of like a contested catch guy, and I think he has all three levels within his ability, and I think he can ascend this year for sure. I then had JSM. The real reason I actually had JSM higher earlier in the day, I moved him down, and it's just because of Darnold. And I'm just kind of unsure about what that offense is going to look like. Talent wise, I think he's certainly up there in the top 10. I'm just not sure what Darnold's going to be, and then what happens if Darnold's not the guy, and then you're dealing with
I think
that,
it's a
and it's kind of
first
a
year play
real.
caller too. Their offensive play caller might be a first year guy. Maybe I'm
And then
thinking
I
of
had
someone else.
AJ Brown Lives Matter. Rest in peace, Roman, as my 14. just mostly because of age. He is a little bit of a diva too, and there's something about him. If he's not getting his way, blah blah blah, like he just starts to pout, and I don't know. I've never been a believer in those type of people. I think you have to be a little bit of a diva to be a stud wide receiver in the NFL, but at the same time, if he's not getting the ball enough, if the game plan doesn't include him, I just don't know if he's going to be as consistent as some of the other guys on the league. But he has some huge games and he's super explosive and talented. His body scares me a little bit too as he gets older. Just he's such a physical guy and he carries a lot more weight. And I don't know what that looks like in his, 29, 30, 31 year seasons. So I have him down further. I didn't even want to have him in my top 15, but he belongs there. So he's in it. And then the last one I have is, as my prelude suggested, is T. Higgins. I think the only thing that scares me about T, and he's in a perfect situation, being the number two. I think, again, going back to their offense, they're going to find him. He has, I don't know if you watch quarterback, but it's like this is a T. Higgins game. And as long as he's on the field, he's going to be pretty consistent. He catches damn near everything. I think if anybody wants to focus on Chase, he's going to have explosive games, and that connection's there. He's with Burrow. There's just nobody else in the next 10 that I'd went over T Higgins. And he's only 26. He's got his contract. I think if he stays on the field for 14 games out of 16 this year, 17 he finishes the top 15 wide receivers this year.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
like
I think
I said, man, I think the 14 we all had the same top 14 then.
15. You had one
No, we
person in
had the
there
same top 14, but the
oh yeah,
15th player you
just
had
in different
Higgins
order.
and I
Yeah.
had Worthy. But that's where the drop off is, man. Like I could argue for, I probably could argue for Higgins. I could argue for Waddle, Flowers, just whatever your cup of tea is, man. Like
Yeah, I think Flowers is one of those guys that could have but I just don't see him as a dominant wide receiver unless they're going to completely feature him, and I just don't see that happening. I think he's
I
kind of
think if
shown
we
what his
had to
ceiling is.
Yeah, I think if we had to do 20, like if we had to go five more, we would have probably looked really different.
Oh, for
Now,
sure.
and I
Yeah,
would have really had to think about it. Like I didn't think outside of a little positioning here and there, it felt pretty easy to put those guys all the way up there. Even at
I
the
agree.
end, it was
Yeah.
like until I got to 15, I was like, oh, okay. Like who of these guys do I really like? But everyone else was like, where am I putting them in the top 15? Not do they
Yeah,
belong?
I agree. Yeah.
So fun
I
little
think I
exercise.
think it was pretty interesting. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, you can list the top 15. I think depending on injuries to quarterbacks and who stays healthy and just a lot of different dynamics, those guys could finish anywhere in that top 15. But most of the guys have been pretty consistent, except for maybe Ladd and else on there is pretty young. Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. I just their
Worthy's
upside is
22
so
also, by the way,
tremendous.
Corey.
What's that?
Worthy's
Yeah, I saw
22
that.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 3 years younger than Rice. So, yeah, I guess that one is still a prove it situation. As far as can he get open down the field? Is he more,
Yeah. It's
are
just
they
the
going to still
upside.
use him
Like
along the line?
I think he has the potential to be a Tyreek Hill type in that offense. And if that was the case, then he's he's top five, top
Yeah,
10,
and a lot will depend what happens when Kelsey's gone too, and how much that offense changes.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of different weapons. I heard Royals has looked good in camp. My boy Brashard Smith is making highlights day after day, so I'm pretty excited about
Is
that.
he
I don't know
now?
if you've been catching it. Just my
We
my
we
Twitter
we look
feed
at different beat
probably.
writers.
Oh, I'm not looking at beat writers. I'm just looking at Brashard Smith highlights. And there's, out of the backfield touchdowns happening with the first team offense. There's long bombs on wheel routes. There's uh he's in the end zone packages, or I mean the red zone packages, goal line packages. So I don't know. I mean
Is
it's
he getting first team carries like Deneric Prince did last year?
No, actually, back to the conversation we had last week, they're saying that Elijah Mitchell's getting more first team carries than everybody but Pacheco at this point, which I think is, I mean, they're gonna try to utilize him as
Carson
long as he's
Steele
healthy, I
was as
think.
well. I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
Okay.
like,
Well,
I don't trust anything from my history of trying to. There's two teams that I'm extremely bitter that I've like never hit on the running back wise, and it's the 49ers and the Chiefs. I always draft the wrong ones. You'll probably get the right one. I did draft Jordan Mason and then trade him away like a dickhead, but you know,
yeah. Yeah. Well, at least he's in on the Vikings this year. I think he's gonna have a good year.
yeah, no one will trade him to me. I think he's going to have a good year too.
Sad Ben doesn't have enough Vikings.
I have too
Um,
many Vikings. Are you kidding me? Jesus, somebody take my
well,
Vikings.
you have two in Justin Jefferson. That's all you need to win a few ball games. All right. Well, that is the top 15 dynasty wide receivers. Let's pick up the pace a little bit here, Ben. I feel like we're a little bit too melancholy. Do you have a shot or something, or what do we need? I could probably take a creatine and pop another's in. I am going to pop a drink, pop a Giorgio, as they call me in Vegas.
Well, look, man, here's
Uh,
what we had to do. We had to get through the NFL segment. We did it in under 45 minutes. Congratulations. Thank God we didn't have seven more things on this agenda. And now
my
we get
gosh,
to,
that was 45 minutes.
wow, with the intro. No, it was probably like 30 minutes. We did well. Um,
Well, according to John Candy, we don't talk about football fast enough in our podcast. And here's the thing, John Candy, Mr. Joel, we love you. Number one is we completely shat on his team last week, and he's just the nicest dude, man. I mean, one of my highlights was I called him. I don't know what it was about, but I was pretty hammered, and I must have had one of my vodka orange juice mornings for some unknown reason. And I called him. We talked for about an hour and a half on the phone, man. Just
you and
back and
Candy?
forth. Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
I've never had talked to him on the phone. We've texted back and forth a lot, but finally I just said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to call him. And he picked up the phone, and it was just the it's kind of like when people say they meet their celebrities and they kind of deliver. Like he was exact person I expected him to be talking to him live. He was great. So, but yeah, our podcast is
I
it's
think I
going to
had him
get a little
fourth,
off
though. I
subject
didn't shit
sometimes,
on him that
huh?
much. I said, I think I have
Oh, I
him
think I
fourth.
I think I had him sixth or seventh, but we gotta make sure we put that in the. I no, I listed my rankings. I think in the message board afterwards. But we love our JC, man. He's the real Jesus. He's a God fearing man, and I love him for it.
He's watched every
Um,
episode we ever made, so he demands respect. And his opinions will
hey,
be valued, Corey.
yeah, earmuffs, earmuffs, earmuffs.
Yeah, sorry. I
Just kidding,
threw I did
just
say
kidding.
that I did say the D word pretty heavy.
I think there was a couple mother effers in there too. So it was a long one, and nobody knows about the first 20 minutes of that video either. That never made it to air. So there was a lot going on that day. That the fact that Ben and I are still here doing a podcast together proves our friendship for sure. And I love him. So
I swear to
all
God,
right.
$100 to release that footage. People would pay,
I
Corey,
don't know. I,
to
I went back and
see
I went back and listened to it.
to
It's
see
great.
how terrible we can actually be to each other. Thank God that didn't make the actual pod.
No, maybe here's another thing we're discussing is coming up with some league, awards at the end of the year, like GM of the year, rookie of the year for the orphans that have the best season, not necessarily win wise, but just how they operate as a first year GM, offensive player of the year. So whoever has, we're just throwing it out there. So if you guys can think of any other awards, that would be kind of fun for the league for us to uh, maybe nominate on chat and kind of throw them out there and just kind of keep a record of that. Maybe Dan can dig into his extra pot after collecting all these league dues that we might be able to start figuring out how to reward some people for some stuff. And then the exciting one that I actually threw out there is, maybe after 10 years, there needs to be some Hall of Fame talk. I mean, not necessarily have to be retired, but if someone's
I think that's where they're
proven,
getting at. I think that's where they're getting at. I think that's why they're trying to look at who's been here the longest, where are the track records. Maybe they're just trying to show how much somebody like me really isn't good at fantasy football, which is totally fine
you're
if
great
that's
at
what we
fantasy.
prove at the end. Um, yeah, I mean,
Well, there's one
we
thing about being good at fantasy football and another thing being good at BC, and they don't necessarily equal out. Like I have not won a title in any of the other leagues I play in. So it doesn't mean that I'm good at BC either. I think there is way more luck involved in winning a title in BC, but regardless, there's luck in winning Super Bowls in the NFL too. It's just year after year who competes. I think probably one of uh, the biggest indicators of that is record, right? Like, but then even then, at
yeah,
that
my
point, to
record's
have a
going to
good
be
team, you
pretty
probably,
good.
yeah.
My,
If you look at
I-
the 10
I've
years, are you
never,
above
I've
70%
never
wins?
rebuilt, and even when I rebuilt, I somehow kept relevant. I think I saw like I've only missed the playoffs like twice.
I mean, the question is, can you be in the league for 10 years and be a Hall of Fame nominee, and not win a title? I think that would be tough.
I don't even think I'm Charles Barkley. I haven't even been to the finals, I don't think. I'm just like
Oh,
I'm a third place hero.
well, it's super
First round
exciting
win,
just to
second round exit, just like the Minnesota Vikings. Just like a clear image of my fucking team, and I can't get out of my own way.
Well, I think the other part of it is, I think we started talking about profit and loss, like how much money have you put in and how much money have you earned back. Like, I think that's a pretty good judge. Like, even if you're not winning titles, if you're collecting more than you're putting in, that
I'd be
and have done
surprised
pretty
if I
well.
was losing in this league. If I am, maybe a little, you know. Like the titles in the other
Yeah,
leagues have really carried me to continue to do this over and over, you know.
I think the titles are what we're all about anyway. The financial part of it is actually nice, but it's we're in this for the glory at this point. The other thing I was thinking about, not to get off track, but is like, I listen to other podcasts. I hate the fact that they talk about dynasty and they don't understand what we do and like how complicated what we're doing is. And I've never really looked into it, but are there that many other 32 team GM dynasty contract leagues that are like ours? I don't even know if there are ones out there.
Track
So I
leagues, maybe not, but like I hear some guys mention like very deep dynasty leagues, and they're not referring to even our 16 team rosters. They're like they're referring to like very
they
deep.
don't they have like this regular dynasty leagues. They don't have contracts attached. But even
It's like
so,
it's
you
like
listen to
Sigmund
someone like
Bloom,
he.
who's like the Matt Waldmans, those guys who are just like so nerded out into like to the to the analysis of the draft, to the undrafted players, to their talents, and like so that's why they're like, ooh, like hang on, this guy was kind of good. He's on this team's practice squad, like keep an
Here's what
eye
I'm going to
out or
do.
whatever.
In case we have any orphans in the next few years, I'm going to, or we can record a small 1 minute, overview of what the league is, what the structure is, all the nuances of it, and we can send it to Heath Cummings or the guys at CBS. We can send it to the fantasy footballers. We can send it to Bloom and be like, okay, hot shots. Yeah, great analytics. We love exactly what you talk about. There's some good information in there, but come play with the boys. Come see if you really have it to win a league like this, and if you really want the GM experience, and you think that you can, because they start talking about, oh, deep players to add. I'm like, you have no clue what
Well, also like
what we're doing over here.
there are so many contract leagues in different there's like Sleeper, and there's some like other sites, and they format differently. So like they're in millions of dollars, right? So I've seen a
Right.
lot of contract leagues where you have a cap like the NFL, You're giving
Mm,
contracts like the NFL. So I've seen discussed these types of leagues on podcasts.
mm.
Um, so
See, I've
it's
never
not
even
like that.
heard any podcast talking about that.
But I think the problem is like you have to find the guys who have been in these types of contract leagues to because if you've never been in a contract league and then you do BC, like I don't know, that'd be an interesting thing. Like if you guys in the message board or in the chat, everyone who's new or everyone who came to this league, was it your first contract league? That would be interesting to know because like man, like it's one thing to just walk into a 32 team beast. The whole contract level, it makes it like a little more absurd. But
For sure.
I don't think we're the only one like game in town on that.
I
I'll
mean,
say
most of the
that.
podcasts I'm listening to are 100% just white noise in the background, just because it's more like they just put me to sleep or they just keep me calm. I'm not necessarily listening to anything in particular. Some of them are funny. Some of them have pretty good dynamics with the hosts and stuff. And but the other thing I
Unlike
did
you,
find out,
Corey, my knowledge comes from these other podcasts who actually do know what they're talking about and dive deep in the analytics, etc. It's not my grinding game tape and using my how do you put it? Like my eye test analytics, you know.
yeah, just because I watch a lot of football and I use my eyes and my instincts, I that's what I do. I don't I don't have any secret sauce. The other thing I did hear was there is a Commissioner of the Year award, and I thought that was pretty cool. And if there's an award
For
out there as
MFL,
such, maybe that's no, for just in general for fantasy football, or I don't know if there's like an award show or something for like best. You must have to nominate someone and give like a story or why, or. But I think Dan would deserve to be nominated for that for what he's done for the league and how he's handled all of us different personalities and made some tough calls. And it would be I'd be interested to see what the process is to get Dan nominated for that if anybody's deserving um,
I
of
think
at least putting up with a ton of shit and
Dan's been
keeping
great,
the
but
train on the track.
if Dan could get, let's say, 75% of the league to come to Costa Rica to do the rookie draft next year, he would be a
Yeah,
shoe-in for that award.
yeah,
Like
that would be a pretty
we
easy story to
we
tell.
could put a Netflix series featuring him, be called Commissioner, and it would be
I think that
epic.
another funny thing would be like on in message board is just who would you most want to meet in real life. I mean, obviously, you and I are kind of excluded from that because we're visual. But like, who would be the most interesting person that you would actually meet in real life that you'd be like, huh, different than what I expected, but very cool? Or I think that'd be pretty fun. I hope that at some point
Dan
gets
might
maybe
have
it's
come
not
to
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica and I didn't see him. I'm not totally sure. I know he thought about coming down. I don't know if he did in the end. I don't
I
know
mean, we
if
could always do another place too. I know Vegas is kind of cliche, but maybe the first time we do
no,
it, it's
it's
a little bit
not.
easier
Vegas is
for everyone to
Vegas,
get to.
baby.
Yeah, I'm in Vegas 3 times a year. And always a good time. Yeah, I mean, there's many ways to do Vegas. I've learned. I did Vegas 5 days this year, completely sober, which was still enjoyable, but not as much. I'll have to be honest. Um,
I think this is the
Mushrooms.
part that
Anyway,
John Candy was talking about where we're no longer talking about football.
well, we're right at an hour. Now we're going to jump into the Big
Let's do
12
it.
conference and get back to the fantasy football content you've all been waiting for. So, we have now got on the same grading scale and we're going to dissect each team. Again, the ratings for both Ben and I are not just based off of this season. We have created a rank for who we think is going to win this year, but the grades that we compiled on each position are based off of the dynasty aspect of the team build. So not a year thing, just where they're at as a team for the future. And where they're at currently. So we're on the same grading scale. Ben, do you want to talk a little bit about the values and how we're weighting these? Because it's just going to look like numbers on a screen if we don't talk about it.
Yeah, so like I wanted to come up with like a value system, and at first I did that with grades. And it was like, okay, an A, like I did with the draft, it was like A's 6 points, a B's 4 points, C's 2 points, a D's 1 point, and an F is zero. And but the problem was like when I was doing that and I was trying to like average it and see what that looked like if you get an A at D tackle, it's not even comparable to an A at wide receiver, right? Because it's so much harder to do. So it was either like, do you make the A really hard or do you just weight it? So I decided to weight the positions. And this is not a perfect science, right? So like rather than Corey and I going back and forth and trying to come up with the perfect system, I just did something and I said, let's just see how it works out. We'll probably get the league's feedback on what they think and stuff like that. And maybe like next year, we would make some adjustments here and there. But for now, because the quarterback position in this league isn't crazy premium as far as costs, you know, I put that at a one multiplier. Running backs and wide receivers are a two multiplier. So like the grade is worth two grades. Tight end is worth 1.5. The D tackle's worth 1x multiplier. The D end is 1.5. The linebacker is worth 2. Cornerback is worth 1. And the safety's worth 2, which is probably high, but I wanted to keep it at a round number, and we were going to probably split hairs where the half would have to go. But that can be an adjustment for later. I also think, like, based off of the prices we saw with safeties and the difficulty to have, like, I don't know, three good ones, I thought it was kind of fair. So that's the grading system. So to weight it, we take the average out of the 14 units, and that's how you get the weighted average that'll be on this sheet that we'll see.
Yeah, and when I went through it today using the system, I want to be clear that not all A's are equal, and I think that's kind of
Right.
where there is going to be some different separation. So we'll probably go through and say a plus or minus on it, but that's not included in the actual calculation for the overall average score.
Yeah, I
To your
don't
point on
think,
the
Corey, I
safeties,
don't think you did
I
eight pluses and minuses, and I did. And like I only did it to show like it's not there's no point value difference. It's more about just showing you're on the
you
cusp,
can't get any
right?
better. Yeah, you
Well, you're
can't get
just
any
on the
better than an
cusp.
A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the safety thing was actually a little surprising to me. I thought that was a little bit high. I get it. You can start three of them. You kind of have to have strong safeties to be successful. I probably would have put that more in line with the tight end at 1.5, but well, it'll be interesting to see what everybody else says. And I did kind of adjust scores. If you had a strong safety room and you got that, two times multiplier, it definitely bumps some people up in their overall score. So
I think
everything
like
else, I
I
loved what you
in
did.
yeah, in theory I would have maybe put the half on the quarterback position, but we'll just see, man. We keep going through these and it's just like it's not
I
very
like the
often.
quarterback position though because you're already getting it's only one position, right? Like it's only one starter. So the multiplier probably isn't the same as, a safety where if you have an A safety room and you have three of them, then you're getting, like it's tough to get to an A. At quarterback, it's like, are you got an average quarterback? Do you have a top 16 quarterback? Do you have a middle of the road, and then do you have a bottom half? And salary comes into play, like longevity at that position. Are they going to draft a rookie next year because, they're shit team now, but maybe they get picked, the Arch Manning show next year. I mean, so I think the one on the quarterback position is pretty fair.
Yeah, I think my
But
intention,
I don't know.
Corey,
It's a
is to
work in progress.
like is to total the points scored at each position at the very end of this exercise. and then maybe that'll point where it was really hard to get an A. Like maybe that's linebacker, maybe it's wide receiver, maybe it's running back, and maybe that's
Yeah,
where
now
they
that I'm
should
thinking
have the
about
A
it,
out.
it almost has to be based off of how many starting people you can have on your roster in a lineup, right? Like because if you have four, you only can start three defensive ends. Is that as valuable as starting four linebacker? I mean, it gets a little bit tricky, but I think we have a really good format for now. We'll take feedback and maybe someone that has, more analytical skills or a way to kind of create algorithms or whatever can improve upon it. And we're open to that feedback, but you've done all the grunt work and at least we're talking the same language. So let's kick it off with the Lazy Bears. Do you want to go first on this one?
Sure. Do we don't have
And we haven't
we have
seen each other's grades either, right? So
I don't think I've seen yours. Did you look at mine? Did you sneak a peek?
no, I haven't. I looked at your sheet to see if you graded my team yet, but that was, you hadn't. So yeah, I won't even look until we're live.
I don't think we can share screen. Can we share screen?
No, not yet. We're working on that
Hold on.
technology.
Okay, yeah. It's making me open windows that I don't want to do right now. Sorry, guys. We'll get to sharing screens by next week. I meant to try and
Well,
do
shut
that.
off your Pornhub then. It's not time for that.
An addictive type, as you
You're a
were
VHS,
hoping to know.
VHS, a hustler guy.
Man,
Okay.
good VHS tapes are hard to come by these days, Corey.
Oh, I bet. All right. Go ahead and kick it off.
Okay, so Lazy Bears, this is a super strong team. I have their quarterback at a B. Hold on. Are you there? Let me see. Sorry.
Let's go position by position. So you do your grade, then I'll do my grade.
So there we go. I'm hourring my entire presentation here. Okay, so I have Lazy Bears quarterback at a B, running back at an A, wide receiver at a B plus, tight end at
I
a
just said
B.
let's go position by position, otherwise we won't have any debates on it. So just go quarterback at a B and give your reason why, and then I'll do mine.
Okay, though, if you want to do that, okay. Off then these teams, so I'm looking at it. This is what I was saying. Like we
Oh,
can
okay.
look at
I,
the
yeah,
we
yeah.
can do the grades and then look at the teams and then argue, or we can.
I think it
So
just gives us more back and forth if we just
that's
do one
fine.
at
I
a
just
time.
had to bring it up. So obviously the Lions is a good QB. I would kind of think this is like an A style QB, but quarterback's very weird for me to grade because like when I saw everyone just get $1 quarterbacks this year and then like pay no money for quarterbacks, it was just like how do you grade something, you know? So it's like okay, he's on a season one holdout, right? Which means if he's a holdout again next year or even the year after that, like that contract's going to get to like, I don't know, $75 or something like that. So now you're like Detroit
Yep.
Lions. So I took that down as a part of it and then the $30 salary. So it's not really about how good the quarterback is. I like to take in the situation that contract and everything is in. I think you did it a little different. So that's why I gave him a B. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he was the seventh rate quarterback, based off of points last season. I gave him a B as well. My reasoning behind it was the salary. It's not super cheap. $30, pretty fair price. And then the 2 years remaining on the contract. It's just uh, it's hard for me to give an A quarterback position. Like I don't see dynasty rankings of having Jared Goff as a top 12 guy. I think for this season he's an A, but I would say leaning towards the future, I would drop him down to a B. So that's we're kind of in line for our reasoning on the quarterback position.
Okay. I have A minus at running back. What did you have?
So this one was tough for me. This is one of those ones where I wished I would have had a plus grade to give, and I'll give my reasoning why. I gave him a B. I would have given him a B plus. The reasoning I gave him a B is Brees Hall's a top five dynasty ranked running back to me. I think he's amazing. lack of depth. He has nothing on the taxi squad. And then I think the other two running backs, and they're all three expensive currently, are super question marks. And so again, for this season, it's probably a B plus or an A minus for me. Moving forward, I think he really only has one solidified guy that I think is a sure stud on his team. So it was a tough one. I went back and forth. If I had to, I would have him at a B plus for long term and currently, but I don't like not only having three guys. Now he can move those guys, but and Javonte
Yeah.
Williams could turn into old form, and then he's instantly an A. But three running
I thought you
backs.
thought Javante Williams was the second coming of Christ.
I think he's fine. I think he's serviceable this year and he has upside, but he could just as easily not be anything moving forward. And then you're stuck with 3 years at $139. The same thing for Swift. Like it's a little bit easier to move on from. I think he's a little bit more solidified. I just neither one of them gives me the warm and fuzzies about long-term contracts. He's got almost 450 bucks, $430 spent at, three guys. There's no rookies coming in to help out. There's no kind of upside guys. There's no real depth. So again, that's why I gave him a B. I would, I like his running back room for this year. I think it's better than most. So he didn't get his, I think a B plus would have been probably where I would have had.
Hey man, we thought Tony Pollard at $220 was a good deal. So I don't look at those prices and think that any of it is expensive
Yeah,
per
and I agree.
se.
I'd rather have Tony
I
Pollard than
and
just,
I
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
just gonna say right now, if you're gonna be the starting running back at your position and two offensives, that should be good. I don't know how unknown we have to say they are. Like I get with Javonte Williams in the future, but the future, like he might be able to trade him, like whatever. But the thing, here's my thing.
Well,
I would
it's
have
funny though
given him
too, Ben.
have
Look at
I would have given him a B plus just because he doesn't have any other flyer options. Like, right, there's no fillers, there's no taxi squad guys, there's nothing else. It's like those three guys. But the fact of the matter is those three guys are starting every week. And like if they end up working out, he is a heavy championship contender. Because those like if those guys like if it Ben Johnson and Swift works out, that's a problem. If
yeah.
Javonte Williams
Oh,
is the
for sure.
starter and they're gonna run the ball, that's a problem. If he catches as many balls as he did in Denver, that's a problem. Like it's just like it there's an upside there that you are not gonna see on a lot of officers in BC. So that's why I had to give it an A minus because it's like if I can't give this an A, what do I give an A? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's kind
There's
of
only a
where I
few.
went. That's kind of where I went with it. That's why I was like my minus is there because like I think I had it at B plus and I was just like I just through this exercise was so like it's going to be really hard to give A's to the running back position, right?
Yeah. I mean, if all three of those guys perform to where they are on their depth chart this year, then he has an A. He has an A running. He has no bye week issues. He has two guys he can start every week, a third one to fill in for wide receiver if they're all performing. Like it's a solid running back room for sure.
Yeah, and I think in general, as a rule, just for me to be transparent with you, Corey, is like I will more often give points for future prospects in depth versus taking away for not having it. Because if I feel like you can get through this year, I don't know what your draft picks are. I also don't know what moves you can make. You know what I mean? Like you could end up with three more running backs in that roster next year. So I
For
try not
sure.
to like over if it's shallow with like nothing for this year and then there's not a lot for the following year, that's when I'm kind of harsh. But yeah, this is my
Yeah,
practice.
I mean,
But
it
let's
gets complicated if we start talking. Well, you can move Brees Hall for two other running backs that are,
yeah.
younger, and so I mean, we're not doing that analysis, but strong running back room, no shade on it. I
I
think
got
the
B
majority of the
plus
league
for
would
the
be
wide
pretty happy.
receivers. What did you put for his wide receivers?
I have an A.
Yeah. I'll tell you why I have the B plus, but this is the same thing I did with both these positions. Such a weird first one to grade because it was really hard. This team was like, I wanted to give this an A as well.
It
But
probably
it's
would have
like,
been more on the A minus side for me, but like I think it's an
yeah,
A. I think it's an A room.
I mean, between Garrett Wilson, Metcalf, and Judy, you're starting three guys that are going to perform, but we don't know what Jalen Brooks is going to be anything, and Khalif Raymond should probably put up 80 to 100 points again, maybe. But what when you go to like the taxi squad, there's nothing there, there's no emergency backup, and you and I know like wide receivers are tough, tough, tough to fill in. Like you can't do it
Yeah.
off the waivers. So he's like an injury away from like having a real tough time. And then I guess with the contracts being as good as they are, I really have no right of giving him a B plus. He probably should be an A minus. But like I just felt there was like a depth situation that's like a little bit of yikes, right? But like when you talk about top heavy teams, it's like okay, you're starting three running backs, you have three startable wide receivers who are Bs. Um, we'll get to the tight end room, but like when you're talking about buys and bye week fillers and injury fillers, if you don't have depth kind of across the board anywhere, like where are we going to start docking you for it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think maybe that should probably like that was what I was trying to do last week was talk a little bit about their depth and I think there should almost be a grade that's just separate for overall depth. Like maybe it's a cumulative depth and it's not considered like at any position because
Yeah.
you're talking about some great points. Like two injuries away from searching the waiver wire to fill, wide receiver and RB positions as starters every
That aren't
during bye
fillable.
weeks. Like, and that's not a great position that aren't fillable. Then you're getting zeros, and I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I almost want to say like an A minus is still kind of where my head's at, but he has Garrett top 10 receiver that we both just talked about. DK probably still in the top 25. If he has the same year as last year, he's top 40 or top 30. I mean, and then I like Jalen Brooks. I think he scores way more than 44 points this year. And
Maybe.
then Khalif Raymond, I think he's just one of those guys on your, he just keeps hanging around and scoring a few points here and there. And he's like valuable on a team, kind of like a lot of kind of journeyman guys. So, again, depth is probably an issue, but he has three studs that I think a lot of people would be, enjoy having on their team.
Yeah, we're splitting hairs again. That's why there's pluses and minuses on my end. And like even to your point, like you did a B on the last one, could have gone to A. So there,
He has six,
there
he
are
has
rooms to be envied. They are not average rooms, right? The running back room and his wide receiver room is not B average. It's above.
definitely
It's just
above
how you want to
above it.
take it. So, tight end.
And
What
he
did you
has
give him for? What
hold on
would you
one
give him
second,
for?
Ben.
Go ahead.
He has six top 10 draft picks in his running back and wide receiver room. I mean, that's insane.
Oh, he
Six.
does.
He's got a
101,
101, a
103,
104,
104,
103,
107, 108,
like
108.
104, 103 could be in the next few years. 108, 107, and 108. Like,
This is how you
unbelievable.
build the dream right here, Corey.
That's crazy. All right, go ahead, tight end.
I had a B for tight end. What about you?
I had an A. I like mostly because I like Ferguson as a backup tight end with upside, and then I like Njoku as kind of a top 12 guy in the league. And I think the other guys are whatever. I don't care about him, but I think he's got Njoku's super expensive, but he can transition tag him for another year, and I like the fact that he spent a pretty high draft pick and a safe draft pick on Ferguson. And I think he could fill that role. So I gave him an A. Tight end's super hard to fill, like two decent guys, one vet and one guy with upside. So I thought it was a very positive situation
Yeah,
for
I
him.
think maybe the $200, maybe I'm probably looking at that a little harsh for Njoku. I think next year, like, I don't know, he might be able to trade that because if Terrence Ferguson ends up being good, he'll have a real home run with a free cheap contract there. I'm right there with you. Like, I think that combo probably can get him going to an A. I would have for sure had him as an A had Miami not signed Waller, because I thought Julian Hill would at least like get a chance and like chop, and he still might. So this could easily come to that point where it is an A. But like again, like he's got $2.
It's probably an A minus, so we're close on that one. I think it's probably an A minus if I was, not having it,
Yeah.
if I had a little bit more
You
variability.
got an A, I got a B. I probably should at least give his wide receiver room an A if I'm going to give him a B here. But that's where we are now. So D tackle Corey, I gave an A minus. Where were you at?
I gave him a B. I don't care about the defensive tackle position, so you have to really blow me away to give you an A. But he has Cameron Hayward, who's 67 years old, and I like Grady Jarrett. So a B plus is where I would end on that. And then he's got three other guys that score decent points. Like, so I just don't know enough about defensive tackle to probably rate it properly. But I was harsh on the defensive tackle position, so a B was a pretty good grade for me.
I think if you have two legitimate starters that you could start every week, that you should get an A. Like I don't know if Grady Jarrett will quite recover. I think he'll be really good in your defense. So I think Grady Jarrett's going to be a 140 point guy. And if that's the case,
Yeah.
and like it's Cam Hayward, you know what I mean? Because like that he might start over a subs like a flex safety or a flex corner. That can't happen a lot. And for me, I think you got to be in that position. I think Tim Settle, he could be better this year. They cleared out a bunch of guys there. So
All
like I
one
don't
year
know.
contracts. So I mean,
Well, no, we
he's
don't
got
know
1 year
that. We
contract.
don't know that. Those aren't
Well,
set.
Jarrett could be. Oh, okay, that's true. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so we
I
don't know
I wasn't
contract
looking.
longevity. All we know is that there were one there. And like I probably didn't like
Well,
Cam Hayward at $50. But like the more I looked at the balance of this roster, it's like, okay, well, where would I really loved him to spend, I don't know, the extra $30? And like there's not a lot of answers. He did have a very balanced and good roster. So getting a stud like Hayward, like if he's 180 points again, man, that's a hell of a D tackle start against your opponent.
he's 36 years old, man.
It
I mean,
doesn't
gee
matter.
whiz, just
Doesn't matter,
unbelievable.
man.
I mean, that's just
It's a one
unbelievable.
year
That's
deal.
crazy. No,
He's
no,
a
no. I
beast.
understand that. I'm shocked that man's still performing at a high
Yeah.
level. Amazing.
I got to be at the end, and I'll just like before you give your grade, I'll just tell you, uh, I think Dana Michael is kind of going to save this room because I think he can make a jump in the next year as a starter. Chase Young is another good starter, so you have those two. I don't think Terrell Taylor's going to get as much run as he did the years prior. It's like I don't like a supporting cast, but if you have two guys you can start, it's hard to just say you're worse than average, right? So that's kind of where I was with it.
Yeah, I was in between a C and a B, so I would have given this at the end of the day a C plus. A lot
Yeah,
for what you said. I think Chase Young is. I think he's an okay. I don't think he's a necessarily difference maker. I don't know who Dana Michael is necessarily. I've never rostered him. So lack of knowledge there, and then just no depth. I don't like not having three guys that I feel either there's two studs and another guy that's on up and coming, or could score you 120 points. Like, and so to me, I ended up giving him a C, but a
I
variable
think
grade would
that's
have been a
fair.
C plus.
I think it's fair. It's like, yeah. I mean, a B minus. Like, I just was trying to sit there and like go, like that's just feels like an average room, but being below average, like does he? But the thing is, he doesn't have any real star power, right? So he's
No star
starters, but
power. Yeah.
like, so it's like I think you're probably more on with a C plus. I'm not going to change my grade for the exercise, but I think it's actually probably a better estimate.
You
I
want to
also
see
have,
150 points or yeah, 150
yeah,
points or more out of at least one guy on that roster.
absolutely. I gave him a B minus at linebacker. Where are you at with him at linebacker?
So this one was tough for me too. I gave him an A. Again, I like Kenneth Murray. I like Spillane in in his situation this year and next. And then I like Jihad Campbell coming in as a rookie and him getting that and filling that void. So I gave him an A. Probably would have been an A minus just because he's got serviceable guys. I think if Campbell, but for me, like to get an A, you have to have four guys that are, going to score you
Yeah.
140, 160 points a game. So it's just harder for me to give an A at linebacker if you only have, two pretty good studs, a rookie that hasn't proven himself, and then, Strenard, I mean, sir, $107, like as your fifth guy or fourth guy is not bad at all. Probably an A minus for me. But that was a tough one. It was probably between that B plus and A minus range.
Yeah, I don't want to like go too far into it, but Kenneth Murray's needs to be franchise tagged or transition tagged next year. And he's still got to show he's the guy. It sounds like they like a lot of guys there. So he's a starter. Let's just put it that way, right? Like it's a guy you want starting for you. Same with Spillane. Like if somebody told me both those guys lost their jobs three-quarters of the way through the season, I wouldn't be surprised. But for now, they're reliable. Jihad Campbell is a great long-term asset, and it looks like he's taking first team reps right now because Jacoby Dean won't be, or he's just not healthy now. He might not miss the beginning of the season, so that might really work out. But if Dean comes back and takes his spot, 3, 4 games in, he's got two linebackers now that he can play. Maybe Sternat gets the many points this year, but I think that was a lot of injury rotation stuff. I had a guy like
Yeah.
that where, somebody goes down for 6 games and you can get a lot of points. So I don't think that's super reliable. Derek Barnes has fell off completely, which was weird from last year. So, anyways, that's my thought on that.
Well, not a lot of salary cap invested either, though, and I
No, it's
think
good.
that's kind
It's
of
it's a
important to note.
good cost for what he has there too. It's probably my should. I'm taking the minus off. I'm going to give him a B. Just give him a flat B. All right, so cornerback, Corey. You don't care about cornerbacks either, or do you?
Oh, I do more this year than I had in the past, but
I
I
figured they
don't,
were just like the D
there a lot of
tackles
them
for
are just
you.
names on paper.
So I did
Yeah,
a A
kind of.
minus at cornerback, and I almost gave him the reason it's a minus and why I almost like made it a B plus is just like the amount of roster spots dedicated to the position is
Hmm.
it's pretty unnecessary in my opinion. Maybe he couldn't get dollar guys elsewhere, but he's got like I think Duck Storm is a shoe in to start after those trades. Darian Porter is a long-term accident. I gave him an A. I love him in the Raiders long-term going forward. He's just got a bunch of guys who are probably gonna have a chance to win jobs, you know. But I don't know. It's close to a B plus because it's like not a lot of stud power and too many roster spots, right? It's just
So
like that's a
very
lot of
similar to
cornerbacks.
big a lot of a lot of roster spots, not any studs. I gave them a B. Some prove it guys. I don't. Again, tough to understand. But again, a lot of cheap contracts too. So if it pays off and some of these guys hit and they score in the
You could
120 to
trade three
130
of these
range, then
guys
it's
if
all
they go
okay.
really well and get some value. I don't really want to
I
knock it
just
if
think
just
at
because you have a bunch
cornerback,
of guys.
like my whole strategy at cornerback is like I felt like some of the guys that end up scoring the most points are the guys that fill in after nobody knows who they were. Someone gets hurt, and then they're the guys getting picked on and just getting targeted all the time, and they're making tackles, and they're not. So it's just like to me, it's one of the easiest positions to fill on the waiver wire, and I just don't understand why you would have nine people. But again, he's not invested a ton of money, and I would just like to see three sure in studs at that position, and then maybe two depth guys. But I don't know. You're playing with
A
fire
couple
too.
depth flyers at
I never really
linebacker
want
could
to
have gone
start.
a long way.
If I'm starting more than two cornerbacks in any week, I'm not very happy with what's going on in my team build. So that's the other thing I kind of look at.
Yeah, I think his A minus that I gave him for his safeties is probably more well deserved. Just because Tyler Newman, I think, is going to be very good this year. Mooring's going to be good this year. Brian Cook's going to be good this year. They're all young. They're all cheap. Um, I don't know if Kalen Bullock is going to have the same role, but he'll have value. I think it's a pretty strong room. I think that's like what you want to see to give an A. Can you start three safeties consistently? And
Three safeties.
I think the answer is he's going to start three safeties most weeks.
Yeah. I gave him an A. Same reasons. I'm somewhat jealous. Like he's Mooring's proven and has been good. He's got cheap contracts. Newman's going to be good this year, and then he's got a couple other fillers. Brian Cook's how old is Brian Cook? I looked at it, 25. I think I think there's depth. I think there's on average he's going to score 20 points out of that every week, and I think that's a pretty good position to be in.
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, we spent 32 minutes on Mr. Lazy's Bears. Unfortunately, everybody else is going to get the shaft on this because if we did this, it would take a 5-hour podcast. But that was a really, really fun exercise. Now you kind of know what we're thinking and how we're going to do
Yeah, I
this, and we're
think
going to do it a
so.
little bit quicker.
You just said it, Corey. Like we had to explain a little bit like where we are with these grades and where we're going with them. So now we don't have to. Penn is going to be the fastest team. We will review this entire session, I think.
And so overall, he had a four. Just to wrap it up, he had a 4.93 average. So keep that in mind as we're looking at that. That's a pretty high score from
Yeah,
what I've seen so
he's
far.
a 4.85 for me, but that's very high.
Okay,
That's a
that's
good
right.
score.
It's different. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
All right, Penn
All right,
State.
Mr. Penn State. This will be the quickest one ever.
I gave him a B plus for his quarterback, which is just only taking consideration of how expensive he is and that he's on the last year of his deal, meaning transition tag is going to be much more expensive next year. Franchise tag actually might be super cheap. I actually thought about that, but B plus, splitting hairs, could have been an A. It's Josh Allen.
It was an A all day for me. He's going to have him on his roster for the next 3 years. I don't care how much you have to spend. He's such a difference maker, and he's the number one quarterback in football as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed. I mean, like, hey, man, I'm just trying to not give all A's to Penn. Just like I
Well, it's
did
going to be hard
for
to do.
just like I did for his running backs, I gave him an A. I think Achan is an elite asset. I think the worst case scenario is if it just goes really bad with their current regime and the next regime that comes in isn't as high on him, or they run a different type of scheme, like not a zone scheme. But I think he'll just find the team that he'll work with, and that's just elite asset. Stevenson's still at worst like a timeshare guy this year. Probably should be moving forward. I think he got some money. And then like the combination of Tucker and White. Hey man, Tucker returns kicks. White was a 1B. His load might go down from 203 points to like 150. Still awesome to have, right? So it's really hard to knock that room.
Yeah, it's an A for me. I wanted to dig on it, but what Penn has done, he's super smart. I think if I'm trying to climb into his brain a little bit, I think he saw the diminishing value of Stevenson and Rashad White. And I think that's why he went and got a stud in A chain. And definitely smart move on his part to do that. I'm in the other side of it. I think Stevenson's still a tradable asset that he can get no matter what happens this year. He's still gonna. I mean, most everybody in the league's in some sort of timeshare, so that's not super concerning to me. I think the offense will be better. And I see it the other way. I think Tucker replaces Rashad White, and Rashad White's gone. And then he's probably more valuable to Penn as a trade asset or on another team next year. I think he'll be in the league for several years. I just think Sean Tucker kind of replaces him as kind of probably I see I see that being more of a 150 kind of split, in points and not really losing any points, but he hasn't backed up. So he has both options. And then he also has Ali Gordon, that he drafted, which was probably a little high, but he backed up Devon A. Chain in a way. And then he also has the kid, the SFO kid, Kiner, who's just a nice flyer in the sixth round. So depth, stud. Um,
Yeah. It's hard.
Definitely
It's
two
hard not to
two
give
two
that an A.
B's. It's hard to do. Hard to do. All right, so
Yeah.
wide receiver room, I have him as an A. You
I
look
think this
at
might be the only A
St.
plus I
Brown, top.
gave.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good.
What else do you
So
want?
I love Arian Smith. St. Brown's a stud. He's got McLaurin's a stud. He's got Hardman, who's a filler in. Jermaine Burton's stock is rising, and then he's got another, could be a breakout kind of ascending player in Bateman, who's still put up 176 point last year. And I mean, he seems like he's always ready to break out. But what else do you want? And then I love Arian Smith. Like he's got young guys that could pop, and then he's got another vet in Lazar that still has life. So, and then if you look at the contracts, only McLaurin really is. $47 contract on St. Brown's just ridiculous. Stud. He can start forward wide receivers every week and not have to think twice about it.
We forgot to mention that St. Brown's contract and Stevens's contract was given by you for Gabe Davis.
And yeah, well, we don't have to rehash that. I'm sure Penn did not like seeing Gabe Davis in the championship game or with the semifinals whenever he saw him. So whatever, I've already cashed those chips. But yeah, longevity wise, he won 10 times over 10. So
So
onto the tight ends. Yeah,
A,
I'll lead you. Yeah, I gave him an A, man. Likely apparently got hurt a little bit, so I mean that can't ding him because whatever. I mean that's just it is what it is. But I mean
$24 for four
likely could
more
be
years.
100% be a top 10 tight end in the future if Andrews is gone. I mean he hasn't even tapped into what he could be, I don't think yet. And then Kittle on a exclusive franchise tag for this year. I mean, he was the top tight end last year, or top three, I think. I don't think he's regressing at all. But he has to go into the pool next year, right? So,
Yeah. You could maybe give him an A minus because he's going to lose him, but I mean, likely is probably going to be the guy next year. Andrews will probably move on from him, right? So, like, I don't know. It's a good spot. Not a lot of rooms better than that one. I gave him a B
I would have liked to see
plus.
Penn, get I would like to see Penn get a taxi squad tight end just in case, but he just didn't have enough draft picks this year to do
Boy, we're
that.
nitpicking. He has a lot of good stuff on his
I'm just
taxi
kidding.
squad.
I'm just kidding.
Shit.
It's a pretty awesome team.
Yeah. He doesn't have any D tackles on his taxi squad, and that's why he gets a B plus from me. Although Adam Butler is going to be very good this year, I think he'll at least get his 150. Brave could return to form in that defense, so that could be sneaky. And Walter Nolan was like one of my favorite D tackles, just off of the top tier. So I like him as well. So I'm probably giving him a B plus, but he should probably have an A. Sorry, Penn. I'm just trying to take you down a peg or two where I can.
Yeah, I gave him a C plus, which it comes in a rank as a
It
C.
doesn't make any sense.
Butler, but Butler's a stud, and Walter's a rookie. Hargrave, whatever. So I mean, I'd like to see two two
We
studs,
will revisit Hargrave,
or
whatever,
and
game
a little.
six.
Okay, what am I gonna do? He's got one non A on a whole damn roster. I
It's
told
fine.
you
We
that
gotta.
it's hard to impress me at the defensive tackle position. I'm fine with it.
I think it's fair. All right. The
And
end. I gave a B
then we had
minus.
the defensive end room. Oh, okay.
What did you give him?
Yeah, this one was the hardest one for me. I gave him an A. I was leaning towards a B, but it just didn't seem right. The reason why I gave him an A is Derek Hall, super young, started to ascend a little bit last year. Cheap contract, $10. He's going to extend him. Shamar Stewart just signed, rookie, drafted 305, great value there in the draft. Like, I mean, could be a stud. Clowney's serviceable. Floyd is still serviceable this year, so he still has depth. He has a rookie on the in the wing that could take over and be kind of that 1-2 punch with Hall. So I wanted to give him a A or a B, but I gave him an A. It kind of talks about all the things that I want to talk about. I think he has at least two studs on his team in depth and guys that are short term options as well. So probably
Okay,
overall I would
I
give him a B plus on that.
I will disagree that he has two studs. I think he has two guys who would be he would be very happy if they were at the points that they're at there. Like I think Derek Hall just got a lot more crowded in that room because Chen is getting healthy and they signed Lawrence. So I worry about snap snap shares. And then Lloyd's old.
Yeah.
And so he maybe he breaks out, but they're gonna give a lot of snaps to those rookies that they got in the first round.
Yeah, I'm not getting a lot of value to Leonard Floyd. So you know what? Screw Penn. I'm dropping him down to B. I'm gonna make my first official
There you
change.
go. There you
I'm
go,
dropping him down
Corey.
to a B.
There you
Yeah.
go, Corey.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
like that.
I'm not giving him much value with Floyd, but I do like Shamar Stewart, man. That guy could be a stud. I mean, and he could be scoring 150 points before too long. So,
He's got
and
Tyree Wilson on
he
his
doesn't have a
taxi
lot of money.
squad. He's got Tyree
Oh,
Wilson on his
that's
taxi
why.
squad,
That's
Corey.
why. I'm sorry. That's why I gave him an A. That was the
But
other
guess
reason why I
what?
gave him an A.
Guess
Sorry, he's
what?
going back up. He's going back to an A now.
Guess what Tyree Wilson
What?
is now? He's a D tackle.
I don't know.
He's a D tackle.
Oh, well, he's not
He
listed as a
is
D
the
tackle, so
favorite
that
to replace Christian Wilkinson. So if he does and he gets changed to D tackle, then we're probably going to have to make his D tackle room higher. But yeah, he's
we
also
also got the
21.
Bears rookie Turner.
Yeah. How does Penn have
He's
$100
got a
of
ton of
cap
depth,
room?
man. Because I don't know. I think he cheats somehow. I
He's
don't know
got
how
to
he
be
cheats,
cheating.
but I'm just kidding.
Nobody can have
He's
a
got to
roster
cheat.
like this without cheating. Penn, we're going to
He
find
doesn't
out how you're
panic, and
cheating.
he just keeps building. Hmm.
All right, where are you
Yeah.
at with the
So yeah,
linebackers?
he's back up to an A. All right. I got A, surprisingly enough, at linebacker. Depth, guys that score points. I don't think he's overloaded with studs. Okay, so he
Yeah.
could, Devin Lloyd. I think he's on his way out. But he has his Kaiser. I wanted Kaiser in a lot of leagues, and if I would have got him, I love that he has Kaiser. Then I'm higher on Divine Diablo than most people are. He's got Willie Gay, who's serviceable. So the only knock that I would give him is he doesn't have like and he's got the Dallas guy. I think the only knock is he just doesn't have like three proven like studs that are going to score in the 220 point range, or two guys and then the depth.
Yeah,
Probably an
this
A
could be like
minus, but he's got a
a
full
shoe
room.
in for an A. This could be a shoe in for an A by the time week 4 is around. And we're like, oh, that guy's starting. That guy's getting a lot of,
Correct.
like he could have 3 clear, easy starts every week. But right now, to your point, I don't know who those guys are, right? I think it's Diablo, and Lloyd's definitely the starter, and I think Tranquil, right? So that's pretty good. They're not top 20 guys, but I don't know. Pretty happy having them. So I had a B plus. I might probably selling Penn short. He's such
It's
a
not it's not what I want it's not what I want to see like for a competing team like that, but he's so stacked everywhere else. It's so you get a little bit
he's a
of bias.
runaway
It's
in
not what
this
I would want to
division as
see
the
out of
favorite in no matter how I cut it. So like just because I gave him a B plus as his linebackers doesn't mean he's not going to be
where a
the
lot of
top
people are going to
dog.
feel Penn's pain is during bye weeks, and
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
can afford to
He's
have injuries too. It's I
yep.
mean, and he's loaded everywhere. I would like to see a couple more studs that are going to score again in the 200-point range, but you can't have them everywhere. And again, look at the contracts. Not a single one over 40, 30, $40.
Yeah.
So I mean, he hasn't even invested money into them yet.
So
So
cornerbacks,
anyway, yeah,
I gave him an A. He's got three guys there. Humphreys is a stud. Lattimore, if he's healthy, will be good. But it's also like he's got like some of my favorite drafted cornerback rookies, and he's got like five of them parked on his taxi squad. So like it's almost guaranteed. I would think he has six. No, he's got five. It's like guaranteed like one of those guys is gonna pop, right? So like he's gonna get $1 to $3 starter like out of that group for sure. So just because he has three guys, I'm not even gonna count. I think it's an A. I mean, Jesus Christ, what a he got a lot
yeah.
of
It
rookies that I like.
originally was a B for me until I looked at his taxi squad and saw like he's done a really good job of backing up players too at certain positions, like and having depth like on within the same team. So if one guy's out or isn't the guy, the other guy kind of steps into the play. And like I think he was super smart to have burned a lot of those late draft picks on cornerback position that is going to fill his depth whenever he needs it. So I ended up giving him an A as well.
And I got an A for his safety room. Same thing. He's got three studs. Chamari Connor's slot box safety. He's going to be nasty, I think, this year. And then unless he loses that job somehow, but I think he has a stranglehold on it. Brandon Jones is going to be again, and Derwin James is Derwin James. Those three are starting, and Rayshon Jenkins is going to be very serviceable. So I don't know. He doesn't need to start three safeties, but he can at any single time, given place that he
Yep.
wants to. So, all right,
I,
congratulations,
I gave
Ben.
him an A. It's probably I gave him
Yeah,
an A
sorry.
as well. To me, that the safety position is the one position that I'm most jealous of his team of. And so, yeah, I mean, I wish I had two of those
Good
guys, let
prices.
alone all four. So, yeah.
He'll lose Derwin, but I
All
think
right,
he's
his overall score for me was a 5.21. I don't know what was came out for you, but that's pretty damn high.
yeah
Um,
5.21 for me as well. So we like differed, but with the same score.
Interesting. All right. Congrats, Penn, on another playoff run, and probably deep into the playoffs, I would imagine.
So baby Jesus, do you think baby Jesus is named after uh the original Jesus? Have I inspired his name? Do you think something came about? I'm just wondering where the baby
I don't know.
Jesus came from.
Well, he's got a Bob Dylan picture, and I know how much you love Bob Dylan, so I don't know how
I
aligned you
don't
guys
hate
are
Bob
on.
Dylan or love Bob Dylan, so you might be thinking I hate him, but I definitely don't. Or do you think I love him?
Oh, maybe it's the Beatles. I was thinking. No,
Yeah,
it
the
was the Beatles.
Beatles.
Never mind. We're skipping over all the banter. We're gonna wrap Baby Jesus up in 10 minutes
It's gonna be
here.
a quick one.
So I'll start with the quarterback. I gave him a B. Older guy, not sure what they have in the future. 3-year contract, cheap salary. I mean, he's going to score points this year. Given his roster build, I'd probably try to trade that off to a contender for someone else because he's so cheap to trade, and a contender will probably love to have those points if Stafford's healthy. But yeah, gave him a B.
Yeah, I gave him an A minus. It could be a B plus. I just think anytime you get a quarterback for $1, $2, and he's going to be like, what Matt Stafford is if he's healthy this year. I do agree that the longevity of it's a little weird, but who knows? It's still Sean McVay, and it's 3 years left at $2. Never been a holdout. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a B plus more for me, but yeah, B for our purpose today. Running back. What did I give him? I gave him a B here. Um, he's got young talent. I mean, having Travion at 106, I think that he's a pretty safe best bet to be in the league for a long time. I don't think he poops out. And then I like Hunter as a prospect. He was smart to get him at 208. He could be Kyron Williams, which would make this an A room. Well, no, I have a hard time giving anybody anything above what he got when he only has three running backs and nothing on the taxi squad. So it's a B,
McIntosh is out for the
basically
year,
off
Corey.
of Henderson. Yeah, he's done. So he can't even start. He can't even start two for the whole season. So it's probably a B minus.
Yeah, I gave him a C plus, and it's only because I really like the young guys he has. Both of them are in timeshare, or there's an injury. Maybe he can, but like again, nothing else on the taxi squad. He's got $179 and not even like, I don't know, just a
Oh,
couple
oh,
backups to throw in there, man. Like get just something, fill that room up. You need flyers at running back in this league, ladies and gentlemen. And
well, just think if he would have got a backup running back for Baltimore for 171. Not even a backup, just the change of pace guy. Like, I mean, that's a different room than with at least two guys that, I mean, or trade points.
two
I'm not
guys
going to
who
go
are
into it,
like
but yeah,
that middle of the road backups, and like I'm with you. But like I just can't do it. It's a C for me. Go ahead and what do you got for wide receiver?
it's a B minus. It's more of a B minus, a
Hey,
C
me too.
plus, but I'm not dropping him all the way down the C because he's got a top rookie, and he's got another rookie, and we'll see. And he's a rebuilding team, so it's hard to be too critical.
Yeah, he's got some guys he needs to
I'm sure we'll get there.
extend. Go extend those guys, but Jalen Hyatt's still jury's still out, and then Trey Tucker could be good. I mean, like I don't know. We're gonna see what happens with that Raider wide receiver unit, but it could be frisky. And then Roman Wilson. I mean, I don't know. Will he come around? It's not a bad room,
Oh,
but it's
yeah. What did
average.
you give him on this one? What did
I
you end
gave him
up
a B
giving him?
minus
I gave him a C on this room.
on
Okay.
wide receivers.
So mine was more like, yes, mine was more like a C plus for this. Tyreek, great asset. If you're in the hunt, I don't like him necessarily at 276. I would have used that money unless you can trade him off for someone and Tyreek's having a rebound year.
276 was cheap.
And
We've
then
already talked
there's
about
just
this. It's
nothing.
fine.
Yeah. But it just depends on who's spending the money. I don't mind what he did there. I'm just talking about. I don't like his room at all because I don't see anybody else there that's decent value, and I want to see at least three guys that can score points at your wide receiver to make you above average. So he's got some guys that are depth pieces. Like if he had those depth pieces at running back, it would be different. But Trey Tucker, Roman Wilson, I think he probably still has value and could
Yeah, it could work
could
out.
make this a C plus room pretty quickly. Yeah, I liked Hodgins. He got a little too rich for my blood at $18, but especially with Juwan Jennings and what's going on over there, I like him as a prospect. The rest of them is just a hope and a prayer. So
I
C
gave his
for me.
tight end room a D. Do you have any better than that?
I
It's the
gave him a
first
D
D of
too
the
because he
day for
doesn't
me.
have a single starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have a starter. And so if you don't have a top 32 guy or you don't
He's
have
got two
ascending guys,
expensive backups, and maybe it works out.
yeah. So D, we got to move on from that. Sorry, bud. D
I got a
tackle, my
B.
favorite position. I gave him that good old C.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just say that he has guys that I think Deron Payne's gonna have a very good year, 150 plus year. Breesy can take the next step. So I like those two guys a lot. And then he has a shitload of like taxi squad guys that could work out. So he's got almost an embarrassment of flyers.
Oh,
So I couldn't give
he
him
deserves
worse.
a
I
B.
couldn't
He
give him
deserves
worse
a
than a
B.
B. Couldn't give him worse than a B. With the
Yeah, he
DNs,
deserves a B. I'm changing
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, there
I'm
you go,
sorry.
Corey. I
I'll
like
change
that. I
that
like
one.
it when I can influence you. You've influenced me a few times too. So,
Yeah, I
D
didn't see Wharton on the taxi squad. My bad.
DN's like another one that's just tricky. It's like B, is it a B minus? Is it a B plus? I've like settled on a B minus because like as much as I really like Dallas Turner this year, and I'll probably like way higher than anyone else is, and I really like Landon Jackson as a rookie, but where else are we really getting points? It's just a lot of really like frisky flyers. Like if Bryce Huff comes back, it could be good. A couple of these other guys could be good rotation guys. It's not enough there. Almost gave him a C but plus, but we're gonna go with B minus because I think Dallas Turner as an asset, if he's as good as I think he's going to be this year, I think it's going to be a nice one.
Yeah, we're in the line there. I was leaning between a C and a B, and I ended up giving him a B, which makes him a B minus, based off of variability. All the points that you mentioned. I like Dallas Turner. Think he could be a stud, and that's a good starting point. And then the other guys are some pretty decent depth pieces. Not a lot of money spent. So yeah, B minus.
Linebacker, man, this is a what did you give
Oof.
for linebacker here? Because he's got like
I gave him a
he's
D, man.
okay.
I gave him
I
a
could
D.
I couldn't go that low. I gave him a C plus or C minus, excuse me. I gave him a C minus because like I probably like too hard on the Jack Gibbons because maybe he starts and is really good. I mean, I liked him as a flyer. McDuffie, but to your point, like who's starting, who's getting it's not necessarily like they won't get points. Like I bet Gibbons and McDuffie play snaps, right? So it's hard to give a D when you have two guys who will score points for me. Like if it was like and then the rest of the guys are flyers. I mean, who knows? Owen Papano, like if he becomes what they wanted to, maybe he gets a rotation of snaps. It wasn't quite bad enough, but it's certainly not something you're jumping up
Yeah,
and
I
down for.
just I couldn't get over the Gibbons contract. So he did, I like the McDuffie contract. So, but again, he has no studs unless McDuffie turns into one, and then there's nothing else there. There's no rookies, there's no anything. So it's just hard for me to D plus it. I mean, D plus probably the best I would do there.
A minus at cornerback for me. I probably nitpicking on the minus. I think it was just amount of cap that's spent at the position in the end. I don't know how long he's going to sign these contracts, but we don't need to go individual, but he has at least three starters that are pretty steady and like all five of those guys could produce pretty well.
I gave him an A. So, uh, I think he has depth and he has decent scoring cornerbacks at multiple levels. They're all relatively young, so
Oh,
a
Corey,
lot of money spent
I
on
forgot why I couldn't give him a
that position.
D in linebacker. I remembered why I changed it to C. On his
You
taxi
like
squad,
Bruner?
he has no. On his taxi squad, he has Jordan Maggie, who I think is a current starter right now as the third linebacker in Washington.
Yeah, that one completely. Okay, I'll bump him up to a C minus. Can't do it though because that would change my grading scale. So he still has a D, for
Yeah,
me.
it's
But
fine.
I gotta admit, I kind of just probably lost a little bit of luster on this one. At some
It's
point, I'm like,
fine.
I'm not trying to be too critical, and it probably just was an overall kind of all right, moving on to the next one. Kind of situation for me. I gave him a C at safety.
Yeah, I got C plus as well, only
Cole
because I
Bishop.
think Cole Bishop's a great asset. I think if he can make that step this year, could be really good. Justin Reed's is expensive. So like, what are you gonna do? It's got to be 1 year.
I
That's
have to
it.
admit, I probably criticized his team a little bit because of the spend that we talked about in the auction, and just not understanding why we're spending 160 bucks on a safety,
And
um,
he's got
when there's so many other
179 left
things
over
that he
too.
could. Yeah,
So I think it's
inexplicable.
just I just think he just had a rough option. Live you learn. Next year will be better. Sorry, Jesus.
His overall grade for me was a 2.68.
Yeah, I
Oof.
3.1 somehow, which is still last in this division. 2.6. That might be last in the
You had a lot
league.
of
That's
you had a Yeah, you had a lot of
you gave
minuses that were on the higher
yeah.
side of the
Fair.
the grades that I gave him.
New
Yeah.
Day Co-op.
Keep working, baby Jesus. Have the faith. All
Okay,
right,
we're
this
on the.
one was interesting for me because
Me too.
I like Harley. I like Harley a lot. He's becoming one of my favorite owners in the league. Not that bad, but when I looked at it, I was just kind of surprised at some of, well, at his team, to be honest with you. So go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
loading it up.
B plus for the quarterback position with the Steelers. It's $1. I think it's really fair. Like I love like dollar quarterbacks. He's got Rodgers this year. If it doesn't work out or does work out, you're probably going to get a very highly rated rookie for Pittsburgh next year. So that's it's almost an A for me, but like it's not quite certain enough this year to get there. But like who knows? Like they might get the number one quarterback in the draft next year if Aaron Rodgers is a shithead.
Yeah, I gave him a B. Same exact reasons. The $1 contract and the potential of a rookie coming in there, and being a high draft pick. I would sign that to 3 years, and then if you don't want him, you can drop him because there's going to be other people in the pool just based off of that.
Yeah. I got a B minus at the running back position. It's like tricky one for me because that Cam Akers contract could, I mean, maybe he'll perform this year and like help it out, but um, he might get not have a job and it's a couple years left. But I'm a big Keaton Mitchell fan. I think Will Shipley will have a bigger role this year. And we like that Tony Pollard 230 price. I didn't want to go down. I didn't think it was worth going down to a C because I think it's a it's a decent room. It's on the cusp.
Yeah, I gave him a C, but it was more in between or between a B and a C for a lot of the
Yeah,
reasons that you talked about. I don't like the Akers contract. Don't care about Ingold, but he's a fullback that can be serviceable. So there's depth, there. At least you're going to score a point, on average if you have to start him. Keith Mitchell, I don't know. I'm not as big of a fan. Tony Pollard, not a stud, like if he was a stud and he was 226, that's a different story than Shipley. I'm high on. I think anybody would want to have Shipley on their roster at this point. I think he can be the legit number two behind Barkley, and he's definitely going to score more points than 42. He's probably going to score in that 120 range, is my guess, or more, depending on what happens with Barkley and how they utilize him. But definitely a C plus, not to a degree of a B for me, but more worthy than a C for sure.
yeah. The wide receiver room when you just look at what he's on the rosters with, um, are a little dicey, but like he's got a lot on his taxi squad, so I gave him a B, Corey. I mean, with Jake London, that's a great asset, right? And then he's got some kick returners, and then I think he's got three wide receivers on his taxi squad that I think have legit chances at being big contributors for their teams in the next
Yeah,
year or two.
kind of the same thing for me. This was tough. It was between a B and a C. I would have ended up at a C plus. I gave him a C. Drake London's a stud. Outside of that, Atwell I think is going to have a somewhat of a productive year, but the lack of depth kind of scares me. Schuster, you just don't know what you're going to get this year long term. I wish he had. I mean, he can activate. Chimiri, which would, probably, and if he's well with Burks being cut, that probably I would do that sooner rather than later, and that would probably have taken him up to a B, if I had known that prior to doing the rankings. But I just don't like seeing four guys with only one stud in his room currently, and then everything else being question marks.
Well, he has the
So
cap to activate those guys. Ty Felton also, if Jordan Addison gets suspended for like 4 games, could have a pretty decent role. So it's like it's not all doom and gloom, man. Like it's he's got a couple guys he probably will activate by the year starting, and then he'll have 6 guys, and you'll look at it and feel a lot better about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's definitely a C plus, borderline B minus room for me.
Yeah. I have a C minus at tight end. I don't know if I'm being generous. Tell me if I'm being generous or if I'm being harsh, Corey.
I gave him a D again, man. I hate giving a D. I just don't see a real starter on his roster. Hills might not even play. He's
Well,
35.
he's hurt.
Um,
He's hurt, so he's not going to play the beginning of the year. Foster Moreau, I mean, he could
yeah, but
settle
he's
in as the guy.
35. He tore his ACL. Yeah. Oh, I guess with the backup with Moreau, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I missed that. So that's yeah, okay. Probably a C, I guess. I'm being tough.
Man,
I guess I'm a
I don't
dick.
think
I
you're
don't mean
like
to
that
be.
off. It's a tough room, man. That's a tough room to look at. D tackle, I had a B minus. What about you, sir?
Hopefully I gave him an A. I gave him a C.
Yeah, I think Derek Harmon was one of my favorite. I think he's going to be a really good D tackle, especially your boy Cam Hayward ever retires. It's going to be a real juicy spot. He just doesn't have, he's got good guys with not no cap to the position. It's just kind of nice, I thought it was average,
Yeah,
no
Hamilton's
studs.
okay too. I mean,
Yeah, average, no studs. It is what it is.
no
B
money
minus,
spent.
I thought was good. I could have gone C plus, but I didn't want to be too harsh on our boy. And then a D end, I got a
I'm
B
sticking with my C.
plus. B plus for me at D end, Corey.
I gave him an A.
Okay,
I gave him A.
I
I
think
like
that's fine.
Owe. I like
Yeah,
Bosa. I like Bud Dupree. I like the depth. And then yeah, I mean, I gave him an A. I think he has two studs and then he has depth, and that's what I'm looking for. Anybody that's
I think that's
scoring
fair.
140 at the end, two guys.
I like Dupree too and OA, but there's like two starters and a backup. It could be an A room. I think I gave myself an A minus with a similar room, so I'm going to change it. I'm going to give him an A minus. I think my B plus was
Yeah, but then you have
was
to give
too
him an A.
harsh. He's
So
got
that
Nick
that
Bosa. He's
definitely.
got Nick Bosa, man. Come on. What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, he has two difference makers for sure, I think.
All right, linebackers, what do you got?
Linebacker. Gave him a B.
Yeah, I got a B
I like
plus.
Roquan, and I like, yeah, this was a borderline one for me. He's got two studs, and then he has
I mean,
Spectre,
Franklin
and I
and
think that'll
Roquan
be
count
better.
almost as 1.5 each, Corey. That's like actually kind of like the
Yeah.
super studs, right? Because those are like two of the almost consensus top three. So it's hard to.
Yeah, this was a borderline one for me. I mean, two studs, and then he's got depth. I mean, even Cameron McGrone's not, completely shit, I don't think. So,
Ventral
yeah, I
Miller
mean,
might
I, I
might
I
have
ended
that
up with a
third
B, but
role.
yeah,
McGrone,
yeah,
Spector, they're all they're
it could
good
be a B plus
prospects.
room. I'm
Cornerback,
not mad at it.
I gave him an A, and like I remember I said that I probably didn't wanted to downgrade if you had too many players, but he's got a lot of good ones. He's got Diggs, he's
I
got
gave him an A,
Sneed.
straight
Yeah,
up.
like I think he's gonna be able to trade if some of these guys blow up. All right, cool.
He
Safety.
spent on those six guys. He spent less than one good cornerback in the auction. Just FYI.
I got a B grade at safety. I
Same.
think Brisker's solid, Stone's solid. Some depth guys. I think. Oh, he has Billy
I
Bowman
like
too
Tristan.
on his taxi squad, who I think is gonna be, if he doesn't get himself into a starting role this year, by next year he will. He's too good to keep off the field. I like that pick for him.
I like Tristan. I like Tristan McCullum too. So
Yep.
I gave him a B. Was leaning towards a B plus. I like Brisker a lot. If he can stay healthy, I think he's a top 10 safety.
Yeah, bounce
So
back, big bounce back
I'm
candidate,
not.
Brisker.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
definitely a B plus room. Close to an A minus.
It's a hard knock life, Corey. It's a
All
hard
right,
knock life
man. We're
for
halfway through.
us. Oh, wait, we didn't give. I'm rushing us too fast. Harley's a 4.14 for me. What did he score for you?
Wow, that's crazy. He's at 3.32. So again, this is kind of what I was talking about. Like there is a lot of pluses on his side that I ended up leaning towards mostly because of depth and stud lack of stud power. I ended up being on the short side of the stick. So you can see how that variance is because I don't think we disagreed all that much on his roster. It was just the difference between your B minuses and my C's, or C pluses, and so that can really impact an overall grade. So there's a lot of variation with Harley's team for sure.
I just noticed
I
me
would say he's
changing him
more like
from
a
a from
3.6.
a sorry, from me changing him from a plus to an A minus at the DN position. He moved up a rank. So that was
Yeah, see, it's those minuses, and there's a lot of variance in our grades. Overall, I think it'll kind of balance out. Because there's enough separation. But like for instance, well, not to spoil it, but Hard Knocks I have ranked slightly higher, and it could just be because of those leans that I made.
it is because he's the one
Go
who
ahead.
just flip-flopped with my boy. And I gave Hard Knocks a B for the quarterback. It's cheap, but it's not like dirt floor cheap, you know. I'm probably splitting hairs. Geno Smith's probably going to be good. $11 in the auction probably should get you more. But if I'm going to give him anything, it would be a B plus. I just don't think I can give him an A for that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a B for me as well. I mean, I think Gino's going to have a good year this year. It's a pretty cheap contract. I don't think they're going to move on from him anytime soon. It's a lower end B, but yeah, I gave him a B.
Yeah,
If
I
you're
just think
looking at, I
Carroll's
gave
going
a
to run a
B.
lot.
For instance, I gave Jared Goff a B, but he was on the higher end, and this is on the lower end of a B. So there's a lot of variation between those two players. I'd much rather have Goff than I would Gino, but um, you know, it's tough to do
Yeah,
it.
the beats at the Raiders camp talking about Genty right now are making me wish I traded everything to get some shares for him. It sounds like he's absolutely ridiculous, like unstoppable by anyone.
Good old Warren.
All
Yeah,
right,
he's going to be special.
running backs, I got an A minus,
This is
man. Like,
another
can you
interesting
talk me
room.
down? Can you talk me down from my A minus? Oh, you can because you don't like Pacheco.
No,
See, that's
I
why.
ended up giving him an A. I gave him an
Oh, you
A.
did. Okay, look at
I gave
that.
him an
Because
A,
you
but
like
it's a
Roshan,
it's a
right? You like Roshan
I do
Johnson,
like
so
Roshan, and it's more of a it was more of a decision between like a B plus and an A minus. But like when you have a top six running back, you have a Pacheco on a
yeah,
cheap
Jonathan
contract, and then you
Taylor's
have
in there.
another guy
It's a
that
good room.
could be super valuable. It's just again the depth situation, So if something happens to Pacheco, which it always seems to do, and if Roshan ends up not being anything, then he's fucked, and that becomes a B minus room pretty quickly because of
Yeah,
lack of
but
depth.
like when you
So
have three
it's
good
a
guys, like you can afford one. If two get hurt, then you're just super unlucky, you know, at running
yeah,
back.
it's definitely it's definitely an A minus room for me, with the potential to be a B pretty quick, I guess.
I gave the A minus for the wide receiver room when he got our $200 Mike Evans, man. Just had to. Like Diggs would have to be like a cut bum nothing for this to be a bad take. I mean, he's got Brandon Ayuk who will be back at some point. He's got Troy Franklin, you know, Shepard. I mean, he's got guys. It's like there's depth, there's studs. What else do we want, Corey?
Yeah, I gave him, this is another borderline one, so I was leaning between a B and an A, and I gave him a B. Would be a B plus. Ayuk's out. Diggs. Man, I don't. That contract is super scary to me. Evans is a stud. Great job doing that. Franklin seems to be ascending a little bit. Then he's got him back with Perry, who's probably, nothing. He's got Heath that could be somewhat valuable if they move on from other people and he kind of ascends. Thornton's making a little bit of noise like Justin Ross in training camp. And then he's got Jalen Polk that still has a hope and a prayer. So he's definitely a B plus. But I gave him a B. I don't see. Man, he has studs though. It's so tough. I'm being super critical. But if everything works out, I like the depth and I like the potential for it to be an A room for sure.
I gave a B for the tight end room. I mean, Andrews still should be okay this year. Darnell Washington, I mean, I would extend him at this point and hope he gets on another team. Could still be fine. BB minus, I didn't. It's shallow, but it's fine for a TD room that's a tight end room that's tough to fill.
I gave him a B as well. Mark Andrews, you know how I feel about him. I think that's a tough contract, but he's probably going to retire if he's not performing. And then Darnell Washington, serviceable. Like maybe it's taken him a little bit of time, but they now have three tight ends there, and I don't see how he gets on the field and scores points as a receiver.
Get those
So
extensions in, boys. Get those
it's good for now.
extensions in. I mean, I don't know if you would look at Darnell Washington and you'd have to extend him, right? Just off the capital, and just in case he's good later. How expensive tight ends are in the auction, right? What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, it's probably a 3 year extension. 3 year extension for me.
Yeah. Okay. D tackle.
I'm not doing 5.
Man, I didn't give a lot of D's at D tackle, but I did here. D plus. Um, I don't know if any. I don't think any of these guys start. They're all rotational defensive tackle backups, and sorry, it's an easy position to fill with a starter. I could be wrong. I could get fact checked on that, but I think this is pretty dire.
Yeah, it was a D for me as well. I couldn't even name one of those guys and lunch there again, but I need to see at least something of value
Just give a
to get
college
above a
effort to
C.
have a
And I'm I've
starter
been
at
I've
the
been really
easiest
hard.
position.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry, we're at
agreed.
D end. D end, I gave a C minus. A little rough, but considering he has Nick Bonito, which is a really nice asset, excuse me, but the rest of his guys aren't playing. So, yikes, no taxi squad
Doesn't Braylon
saving.
Trice have a chance?
No, I don't think so because okay, they got Floyd, they got a bunch of guys there and these two rookies. I think they quit on Trice. I mean, I got him in a trade that I'm probably gonna cut in another league, like as a salary dump. I never say never, never say never, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I was in between a C and a B, and I landed at a C on his DNs as well. Benito's a stud. I mean, 218 points. It's hard to argue that. So
Hey man, that does
that
kind of
puts you
count
in
as
like,
two.
but if you don't have anybody else in position, yeah. So I mean, it's not awful. I just there's not enough depth or there's not enough fill-ins to make it above average room.
Yeah, I gave him a C plus at linebacker. I'm wondering if I'm being too harsh on him. And if that should be a B minus. I mean, Tyrese Knight's good contract. Mac Wilson should start. Leo Chenal is like a nice contract, probably better on his next team, but should get some run. So if you have like two and a half guys, I don't think that's a C, right? Is it? What did you have? Talk me out of my C plus
It's
and
a C for
give me.
me. I mean,
Okay, then
no,
there.
yeah, I was between a C and a B, and I gave him a C. I don't see any studs there, and it's kind of again, I need to see guys that are proven 150 point guys at linebacker, or at least like have shown ascension, and then I need to see some rookie depth or draft picks or people that I think can get there, and I don't see it. Leo Chenal would seem to be kind of descending. Cochran's a Jag, but at least they're both on the same team. Mac Wilson, okay. Um, we'll see. Um, and so yeah, it was a C for me.
Okay. So cornerback, I'm at A minus.
Cornerback.
Gave the boy an A. Gave him an A for that cornerback room. It's pretty. It's got a
I
lot
gave him
of
an A as
some.
well.
Yeah, it's got some money dedicated, but he's got studs. Plain and simple.
He's got
And
studs,
then
and it kind of is that same situation with Quinyon Mitchell. It's like he's probably the top cornerback at 321 picked in the
McMillan and
draft,
Kenny
I would
Moore are
guess,
going to
but
score a
doesn't score
shitload.
points because they don't. Yeah, yeah. So I like the room, and I think yeah, I'm right there with you.
I'm B with the safeties. He has some depth there. Metellus and Bullard are probably going to be the guys who's scoring the most. I got to see what Bullard's workload's going to look like this year. Maybe Chuck Clark gets some work after they kind of have the weird safety situation there. But like for the most part, it feels like two safeties with Hail Mary backups, which just, that's pretty average, I think, for the league.
Yeah, I gave him a B, mostly after the Chuck Clark signing. I think Metellus is a stud, and then Bullard, I think will score right around that same point area, and he's got depth, and yeah. So I mean, it's not a bad room, especially when you have a stud like Metellus and some other guys, John Johnson. I think that's a if he somehow finds a team again and scores points. I think I gambled on him last year in the waiver wire, and he ended up scoring some points for me. Um, yeah, I mean it's a B room for me.
I have a flat 4 score for him. What does he score out for you, Corey?
3.928. So we're pretty close on him.
Pretty close, yeah. Okay, cool.
Pretty close.
Hometown heroes. We got two more, Corey. We still almost made this thing 3 hours, but that's okay.
Holy
We need to
shit,
do
man! I
these.
don't understand how you.
We just need to make these divisions analysis thorough, and that's just it is what it is. Can't shortchange these guys. We only do this once a year.
Well, I just don't want to cheapen anybody's analysis. I don't want to cheapen anybody's analysis. I think we get a little bit more excited when the teams are stronger, and but
Oof, we have three more to
it's
go,
hard
Corey. We
to.
gotta we gotta hurry.
Let's do it.
Home,
Let's go.
hometown heroes. Hometown heroes. Mr. Hometown. C grade for the quarterback position. Tennessee not at $1. Seems like a big yikes. Tennessee at $17. I mean, hey man, maybe Cam Ward's the real deal and we look at it next year and think differently, but he's only got 2 years left on that contract, so like if he is good, what are you going to do with it at that point? So kind of a weird no man's land. I would have
Yeah,
liked to seen
I gave him a.
him like maybe drop that Tennessee. Well, maybe it was to draft. He wanted Cam Ward. Never mind. Go ahead. Who'd you give?
Yeah, I gave him a B. I mean, if Cam Ward's you know great, then he's going to franchise tag him, and
Yeah.
$17 for now is pretty good. I think he's going to score points. I don't have anything wrong with. I don't. I see with upside. It's a strong B for me.
Running back, I gave him a D plus, and if you don't have a starter on your roster, and you might not have, you know, better than a third string guy, it's pretty bleak. Or where you have him.
I was as close to giving an F on this one as possible, because of those exact reasons. I mean, the only
Yeah.
reason that it's not an F is because Raheem Mostert has a pulse, but
And
it's
so
not
does
an
Amari
extendable
DeMarcado. I
contract.
think he's going to be the third string there. So it's not a total loss, right? But it's still pretty dicey.
Yeah, I ended up with a D. Just not great.
I got a B for wide receiver. Was I too generous, Corey?
No, we agreed. We agreed on that. I like the upside of Washington. I like George Pickens, and Mooney is great value, and
Yeah.
still think he's going to perform. I don't mind the taking chances on and Rashid Shaheed. So I think it's a
Yeah.
strong B actually, except for
Yeah.
he's
Strong
two
B,
hundred
like
eight
the
dollar
it's
contract on
being
Shaheed.
able to start those three guys and then even Parker Washington with his return and wide receiver three type, like maybe he's wide receiver four. That's a good four base, you know. Terrence Marshall, real dart, like maybe he works out at some point. I think he has some guys on his taxi squad too. A couple of darts. But yeah,
Mm, mm, yeah,
nothing to
I
move
think
the
we
needle.
agree there, Ben. Nicely
I
done.
like that. C minus on the tight end. Man, tight end's tough in this league, so that Noah Fant getting cut, you know, that really screwed him over. So like maybe he gets on another team and can get some run, you know, maybe goes to Miami, who knows? But for now, like he's got three Denver guys. Hopefully one of them's the backup to Ingram, you know,
Yeah, I think Troutman is the number two, and then
to
Kroll is. I think I saw Troutman. It was three or four, and it was
I like
Troutman was
Caleb
three, and I
Lerner
think
as a
Kroll
project.
was four. Yeah, I ended up giving him a C, probably leaning towards a C minus on that, just because I don't. He doesn't have a starter as of now. Fant getting cut really hurt, but he could land somewhere else, and it's probably a solid C.
I gave him a solid B for the D tackle room. I think BJ Hill will be fine, like maybe 100, point guy. He has the upside of maybe Christian Barrymore coming back to being like really dominant. And if he is, that could be interesting. And that would make the room much better. But it's solid. It's an average room, maybe even a B plus. Can't get to an A. You need three solid starters for that. But
Yeah, I gave him a B as well. On the on Hill being productive, and then also the Barmore upside. So 100% a B.
cool. I got a B minus for D end. Even though he's got quite a bit of guys, and like a guy like Montez Sweat, if he gets has a good year, you know, a bounce back year, this could look really good. I think Dorrance Armstrong's going to have a pretty good year too. So I like those two guys as starters. Arnold Ebiketie, like I just again I don't know like how many Atlanta fucking DNs have we talked about today? Of like I don't know what their role is. Like you know, there's so many guys there, so who knows? And then some flyers, you know, some rookies. Uh, and then he's even got a couple on his taxi squad. So it feels pretty solid B minus, you know.
Yeah, this was in between a C and a B for me. I ended up giving him a B. Same reasons. I like Sweat. I think he's going to have a better year this year. I think Arnold a big key has to find probably another team, but he's still young, and he was pretty. You know, had pretty good draft pedigree. So I think he still has a shot. And then Dorrance Armstrong, I think, produces some points and he has some decent depth. Ended up as a B for me.
Yeah, I got a B minus right now for his linebacking room. Fred Warner obviously is a brick shithouse. Cedric Gray and James Williams for Tennessee, from what I'm reading, can both grab the looks like they both will grab those roles next to Barton, which one of them will probably be 100%, the other will be like 67 because that's the kind of defense they play. So they're going to be pretty valuable. And like James Williams is like tearing it up in camp too. So if that works out at a buck 20, that'll be awesome. If you don't want James Williams, you can trade him to me. I really tried to get him, but didn't try that hard, but I was hoping I could sneak one in there. And then he's got some flyers, you know, so nice little B minus room.
Yeah, I had him in between a C and a B. It was really hard for me not to give him a B because of Fred Warner. I don't know those guys as well as you do, and because there's not any sure starter studs past Fred Warner, I ended up landing him on a C.
Yeah, these next two rooms are like tops in the league, so it's pretty interesting. Like, I wonder if there's some trades for him to be made to like maybe increase these others. I spoiled like the next two, but I have A's for the cornerback and the safety. I mean, I
Same.
think Daxon Hill was hurt last year, but I think they're gonna put him in the slot like they wanted to last year. Like converted safety into the slot. Like he could be really good. And then like, Jackson, McCollum, Sertan, like they're all studs. Campbell's gonna be good. Like that's five legit starters to me. So not overpaying for any of them. It's nice.
Yeah, I gave A's for both too. Depth studs. What
Yeah,
else
I'm
do you
down
want?
on Pinnock on the
He's got flexibility.
safeties, but I'm down on Pinnock on the safety room. Sorry, I kind of skipped up, but like, dude, Buda Baker, Julian Love, Elijah Molden, like, jeez, it's like, oh, I can afford to Jason Pinnock to be a rotational guy. It's like, congratulations. He's got a lot of money there, like a shitload of
Jealous of
money.
his safety.
You know,
A lot of money.
uh,
And
you know,
Baker is not getting any younger, but it's still pretty strong regardless.
kind of who cares? I mean, he's starting three safeties, and they're gonna put up a shitload of points. All right, hometown.
Yeah.
So I have him graded at, what do you have him graded at, Corey? He
I
had a
have him at a
3.6 for
3.5.
me. 3.5, yeah, 3.64 for me.
We were we were pretty close on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wanted to bump him here and there. I just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. All right, Michigan Wolverines. This is a tasty team.
Yeah. I will start off with him. I gave him a C at quarterback because I'm not a Sam Darnold fan. But the $1 contract, I mean, it's probably going to be kind of a in and out kind of situation. But to me, he doesn't have a stud quarterback, and you get an average grade for that. So,
Yeah, I'm a much bigger believer in Darnold than you are. So, um, I gave him a B. I like it a lot more than you do.
okay. So you would give him the same grade as Goff.
Yeah, but he's cheaper than golf. Like he's way cheaper than golf.
Yeah, $10. No, 29 bucks. You're right. Sorry. I was thinking of Gino. For the running back situation, I gave him a B. Tank Bigsby seems to be the guy in Jacksonville, at least as of right now. Nick Chubb seems to be in a really good spot, even if it's a 1 year deal. Chuba Hubbard's a stud. And I think that's a pretty strong running back room with two guys that could be studs and, Nick Chubb kind of there to fill in for 1 year. So I gave him a B.
Yeah, I got a B2 for him. I like Tank Bigsby more than most. If Nick Chubb recovers, I think that trio can be really a problem. If Bigsby keeps his same role with ETN and all that other rookie talk goes out, could be good.
All right, we're going to move on to the wide receiver room where I also have a B ranking. I like Rome Odunze a lot. I like KJ Osborne as a guy. I like Elijah Moore as kind of another kind of upside kind of dude. Hopkins is pretty serviceable for this year. He's not getting much. It's probably more like a B minus though, just because I don't see other than Odunze any complete studs past this year. But he does have depth and a lot of guys that can kind of fill in and score points.
Yeah, B plus for me. All your same points. It's like there's a lot to like there. A lot of depth.
And then we're on to the tight end room where I gave him a B. Dallas Goddard, I think, is a strong tight end, and then he has nothing else. And Goddard is super expensive, but I mean, if you have one kind of stud tight end, you're up there for me.
Corey, you might change your grade to what I have, which is an A, because you got to look on his taxi squad. He has Taylor Mason. That
Oh, I
kind of
didn't see
changes
that.
things. Yeah, that makes it like way
Oh,
more
that's
complete.
definitely, yeah. I'm sorry.
And he's got the money to activate him, so I gave him an A.
Yeah, that's an A room. 100%. I missed that. That's two potential studs. and one in the waiting and one that's ready to go right now. So yeah, that's an A. Thanks,
I got
Ben.
a B plus at D tackle, sir. Almost gave him an A, but I think I had to settle on the B plus just with the
I gave him an A.
yeah, it's fair. It's fair. Harrison Phillips could be really a tackle machine this year, so I mean I think it's fair. I was close.
Three guys are three guys hovering around 100 points, all under $25 in spend. I think that's exactly what I want to see in a defensive tackle room.
I agree. I got an A minus for D end. I think Grenard and Landry alone are tasty.
Yeah, I gave him an A. Exact same reasons. Those two studs, and that's what we talked about. If you have two studs that are scoring 160 plus points, and then a couple of depth pieces, I mean, I that's a pretty strong room.
Absolutely. I got a B at linebacker.
I have a B at linebacker as well. Look at us go.
Yeah.
Peyton
He's got
Wilson,
Demario
Demario
Davis, but he's
Davis.
also got Danny Stoosman in the taxi squad spot, so that's good
That's
short and
exactly
long.
right, and I saw that, and we are in agreement. And then he has some depth guys. There's a few
Peyton
guys.
Wilson's
Because
going to
you're
be
white.
good.
Peyton Wilson's going to be good. That's a solid B for me.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of FAs. One of those feel like they are going to pay off for him. They're all in the top end of free agents.
Yep. All right. We got cornerback. I have a B, and then safety. I have a B. Safety. How did I have a B? That's seems off. That should be an A room.
Yeah, Bates and Branch are pretty juicy.
No, it
Like
wasn't. I'm sorry. I have A's for both of them. I'm looking at Milkman and Michigan Wolverines, and I'm getting them confused on my rankings for the last two. So I had A's for the last quarterbacks and the safeties.
okay, cool. I have B plus for the
I like Jalen
corners and
Johnson.
A for the safeties. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the same. I mean, I think we're on the same page here. Branch and Jesse Bates are studs. He has depth. Bates is kind of expensive 1 year, so we'll see what happens. Thornhill probably is a starting safety in Pittsburgh right now. That's kind of more borderline A B, probably A minus or B plus, but I like where he's at there.
What's your score for him, Corey? I have 4.71.
Well, my overall score Ben was a 4.5, and I forgot to mention his wide receiver room. The reason why I had him as a B two was Jalen Knowles on his taxi squad. So there was another reason why I didn't talk about it. It's probably that's where I was with him and Dunze, and Elijah Moore and some of those depth pieces. He's a strong B in the wide receiver room, so that's why I was higher on him and just probably didn't come across as that in my analysis when I was just talking about who's on his actual squad right now. Sorry
All right,
about
we're on
that.
the last one, Corey. The
So yeah, I had a
Missouri Milkman.
4.5.
Oh, 4.5. Okay.
Oh wow, one more to go. The Milkman at the quarterback position, I gave him an A. I don't think you can really do better. Ascending quarterback on a $1 contract with 3 years remaining. Pretty
A
excited
for
about
me as
that.
well. Yeah, I gave him an A for quarterback and then a B
Sorry,
minus for
sorry,
running
Ben. I
back
can't.
there, Corey.
Okay, Ben. I gave him a B at the running back position. Only reason is I'm a little bit skeptical of Tyrone Tracy and Kenneth Walker long term. But as of right now, that's a pretty strong 1-2 punch. And then little bit lack of depth there, and so I'm a little bit nervous about the long term future of that room.
Yeah, I agree. The
What did you give him for the wide receiver?
wide receiver, I have a B plus. Um, it's solid, man. I like Golden a lot. Quentin Johnson's good. We talked about he's gonna have a decent role. Tyler Lockett, I'm higher than you on. I like Adam Thielen. It's a good room.
Yeah, this one was a borderline B between an A. I landed on a B, mostly because he's aging out a little bit. But he has Golden, who is probably going to be a stud, in Johnston. Still has a lot of upside. So when he has two futuristic type players and then a bunch of depth guys that can score points. I think that deserves a B. If you had one more kind of Melton's even kind of in range still. So yeah, I and the Tennessee rookie, it's a B with the upside.
Yeah, I gave him for an A for the tight end room, Corey, and I know it's shallow, but those are two pretty good starters.
100% an A for me. I don't think you can really play it out any better. He has a complete stud in Warren that probably arguably can be a top 10 tight end, and he has Hunter Henry, who is completely serviceable for this year. So I would take that all day and play the game with what he has.
Awesome. I have B minus a D tackle. I just think he's got a solid group with just not a lot of studs, but Mason Graham could end up being his stud to make it work.
I gave him an A. Probably one of the only A's, exactly for the same reason that you did, because Mason Graham could be one of the best defensive tackles that we've had in the league in a long time. He seems like an absolute beast, and then he has several other cheap, serviceable guys that are scoring points for him. So I kind of like that build, and I think he was smart to go get Graham early and lock in that position as a stud position moving forward.
Yeah, it's fair. I got a B for D end as well. It could even be higher just because I he's young. Quiddy Pay's good. Van Ness is a little declining. He's got a lot to prove, but I like Josiah Stewart and Mike Green as prospects are nice. So, and I think it's a good room. I'm gonna give it a B for now, but it's got potential to be an A next year, I think.
Yeah, I was in between a B and an A. I landed on an A here because I like the prospects. Probably am higher on Van Ness than most people, and I think Quiddy Pay's one of those kind of stud that's going to hover in that 130 to 175 range. And then if Mike Green pays off, I think he has three guys that he can have on his roster for a long time.
Yeah, for a linebacker, I gave a B plus, and I probably am robbing him of an A minus here, just because Quay Walker, Jamie Sherwood, and if uh Dennis Servosier does win that job, that's three legit starting linebackers. I think Sean Dolek has a chance to win one of those roles, and Darius Vassell is a decent depth piece. So it's like it's pretty damn good. I would like to have that linebacker room, so it's tough. I probably should give it an A minus, but I'll stick with my B plus. What do you have?
Yeah, I was pretty okay with just giving him a B. He has a stud in Sherwood and a stud in Walker. Not necessarily a stud in Walker, but definitely positive direction there. And then everything else is somewhat of a question mark. Although I like what you're saying about Servosier, as there's potential there, and if he wins that job, then this becomes a much stronger room. So yeah, I ended up at a B, but with upside.
Yeah, cornerback room I gave a B plus, and it's just like he's got good starters. It's just too many roster spots kind of at the position for me to not have like I don't know. I like investing roster spots when you're uncertain of a couple starters. It seems like he has a couple guys, but it's still pretty good. So
Yeah, I gave him a B, kind of the same reasons. Serviceable starters, arguable stud in Stevens, Ward, still valuable. So Letter I kind of like, Luter, uh, a lot of roster spots. Not sure if he's gonna score a ton of points at that position, but he's serviceable, and so I gave him above average grade.
awesome. And for the last grade of the night, I gave him a B for his safety room. I think he's got same thing like Hamilton and Fitzpatrick are solid starters. Um, Richardson could have a prominent role. He's kind of in a fight right now. So if you got two and a half starters, you're at a B level for me.
And the same for me, ending it in harmony. I gave him a B as well. Hamilton is an absolute stud. Fitzpatrick's getting a bit older, but he has depth and relatively cheap contracts outside of Fitzpatrick. So B.
Yeah, some taxi SWAT darts too. So that's always nice. That's safety.
I want to just say this on air that for the last 45 minutes to an hour, Ben and I have probably only been able to hear every other word. So if it seemed like we got very choppy, we were just doing our best to get through this. And we actually found a pretty weird cadence for us where I think it was, again, another 3 hour podcast. But I'm sure you
The
guys will be
funny
able to
thing,
hear it
real
better
quick,
than what we
Corey.
could hear each other. Yeah.
The funny thing, real quick, is that our audio's recorded separately, and also the editing software will take out the spaces that we have between each other, so nobody's gonna notice, but now they do. They'll know how great our
Well, it'll
editing
just
work
be
is.
but I can notice because of the way we interact. So when I can only hear every other word, like there's just there's no banter. It's just kind of it's weird for us. I understand what you're saying, but I just want them to know if it seems like we just kind of went like super serious there for the last 45 minutes, it's because we were just trying to make it so you guys understood what we were saying, and we were just bouncing off of each other because we've been doing this for a while now, and I think we did a pretty good job doing it. And it'll still be good content. But
Yeah,
anyway,
the pod software was trying to update for the last hour, and I think that's what's going on my end.
all right. So let's do our overall rankings. Without further ado, I'm going to go from last to first. I have Baby Jesus coming in eighth. I have New Day Co-op, which hurts me to say, coming in seventh. I have Heroes coming in sixth. I have Hard Knocks coming in fifth. I have Michigan Wolverines coming in fourth, and Missouri Milkman coming in third, and then a 1-2 punch between Penn or Lazy Bears coming in second, and Penn State coming in with an obvious number one, with a very very top heavy 1-2 punch, and a lot of guys that I think can finish, for those third through sixth spots.
Yeah, and I'll go down mine.
Actually, third through seventh. I mean.
I have Baby Jesus at 8. And then I have Hometown Heroes at 7, Hard Knocks at 6, and then I have our boy Harley New Day Co-op at 5, and then Michigan Wolverines 3, or sorry, Missouri Milkman 4, Michigan Wolverines 3, and then Lazy Bears 2, Penn State number 1.
All right, buddy. We did it in under 3 hours. I can't believe it lasted more than an hour and a half. But I think we're getting there as far as how we're gonna get through these next couple divisions. Hopefully, nobody feels cheated. Keep at it, kiddos. One day you can be like Penn State too. Uh, just don't molest
That's
any
right.
children. Stay
Another
away from
1 a.m.
children.
podcast in the books.
Love it, buddy. Thanks for doing it. I know it's never easy, but we're continuing to keep it on the docket and keeping giving the content that everybody seems to want to keep hearing. So we'll keep doing better if you keep listening. Signing off.
You.